The Southern Border Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, HIAS, who's about as Hebrew as the Catholics are in Catholic Charities.
You've often spoken about your partnership with these NGOs. Who's paying for this? Are you aware of who's funding these NGOs?
We are grateful for the appropriations that Congress.
So the United States taxpayer is funding them, is what you're saying.
So when I look at the border, I look at how the United States government using NGOs as public-private partnership is how they are protecting themselves legally from getting in trouble because they're offshoring all of the activity that's illegal to private entities. They become very evil.
I think the NGOs are evil.
Oh, they are evil.
But they're laundering all the money.
This is a massive money-making operation, and it cannot happen without the NGOs.
Prosecute every single MGO. They have committed treason, and they're in cahoots with the cartel.
You understand the NGOs are paying cartels to bring the people in, and they're paying the lobbyists to pay the members of Congress to keep the laws favorable to allow this to happen because they want the money, they want the children.
A whistleblower says HHS is knowingly placing children brought over the border illegally with criminals and sex traffickers.
They're making millions of dollars off of the lives of the children.
We've had movies like Sound of Freedom come out. That is nothing.
That movie was great, but it was nothing.
But it didn't get the American people to stand up and go, wait a minute, we got to close this border.
Lies. We do not have open borders.
And migrant crime is not a thing.
And migrant crime is not a thing. And migrant crime is not a thing.
I'm furious with the mainstream media for carrying the water for this federal regime in control right now that is painting a completely different narrative.
Yes, people want to immigrate to our country because of the possibility of a better life.
People want a better life. You got MS-13, you got pedophiles, you got child rapists.
It's not about poor people that are looking for a better way of life. It's about trafficking them in here. It's about changing the demographics. It's about destabilizing America, the voting electorate. It's also about importing a boatload of criminals.
Venezuela.
That will do terrorist activities in this country in 2024 at some time.
And now we have a report that 8 ISIS operatives were captured in the United States, and this is great that they caught them. But we have over 12 million people who've come into this country that we haven't properly vetted, and we're not going to always catch them. Isn't the concern is this is potentially the tip of the iceberg?
Give me your thoughts if either one of these men win the election. What do you think America looks like?
If they give it again to Joe Biden, I think the FEMA camps that they're using right now and the illegal migrant camps, I should call them, will be eventually for people like you and me.
They're building camps for political dissidents in all 50 states, and it's hitting mainstream news.
A Democratic candidate for Congress in upstate New York said this: MAGA supporters should go to, quote, re-education camps after the 2024 election.
Now, if Trump were to get in, it's going to go one of two ways. He's either going to continue with the advisors that he has had in the last go-around. They were good. They got the economy going and did all that stuff, but they never drained the swamp. And he still has a lot of swamp creatures around him. So if he doesn't get rid of the swamp creatures, if he doesn't start hearing the American people screaming about how bad it is, about how bad warp speed was, if he doesn't get realistic with the fact that he was lied to and he doesn't admit it to the American people, he's going to lose a notch.
And good afternoon, everybody. I'm Vandersteel, and this is Steel News. Welcome to the War Zone. Wow, last night's debate. You know, I got to tell you, it left me kind of cold. I've seen Megyn Kelly's rendition and how, disgusted she was by Taylor Swift, and I agree. But, Taylor Swift is a CIA operations. If you missed Mike Benz's full breakdown on that, go watch it because he lays it all out. And he was flabbergasted and floored when he was uncovering all the documents. That is just pointing to how complicit these Holly weirdos really are in the psyop of America to continue to anesthetize us. Did you know that the NFL viewership is up 21% since this time last year? You know why? It's because the economy is in the toilets and people can't afford to go and do things. So they're sitting at home on the boob tube watching football again, as opposed to living their lives like we were sort of, oddly enough, with COVID, because we didn't have football. We were just having to figure out how to be normal people. Well, there's nothing normal about what's going on right now out there. Absolutely zero. We've lost our country. We've lost our way. We don't, most people don't even really revere God anymore. We've got to get back to the real basics. When this country was founded, people came over here because they didn't want to be subverted. They didn't want their sovereignty trampled on. They wanted to be sovereign. They wanted to be like King George, have a piece of the pie, own a piece of the land, the dirt underneath their feet. So they left the feudalism and they came here. And they founded this incredible country, which is now slipping through our fingers like sands in an hourglass. And that debate was really reminiscent of it for me. It drove it home that if we have that cackling hyena leading us over the cliffs, the abyss into communism, then we are really done. And there's only one other box to open after that because the ballot box is clearly stolen. So, like I said, as we just keep listening to the news and discussing this upcoming presidential election, selection, if we even have it, who knows what's going to happen. There's so many, should we say, quivers, so many arrows in their quiver they have right now to steal it or to subvert it or to just delay it, whatever. We don't really know what's going to happen. What we do know is that we've got to get our collective butts together and we've got to start to march towards sovereignty. So 9/11. Today is a very somber day. I remember where I was. I'm sure many of you remember where you were if you were alive back in 2001 when this horrible event happened. We've learned a lot. I've done some reporting on the Twin Towers. We know they didn't just come down because of planes in the buildings. We also know about missing money. Recently, Catherine Austin Fitz, whose clip is on my my Twitter X timeline. She's talking about $21 trillion through 2020, I believe. So we have passed the point of no return financially. Missing money was announced the day before the towers came down. All of these things are connected. Every single scandal, they just don't happen in a vacuum. So, on a day like today, I am reminded, when I almost lost my sister in one of those towers, how important it is to make sure we maintain our sovereignty and we restore this glorious republic. We're not a democracy, and we're going to talk about that today. I've got a big show for you. It's going to go for a couple hours, so buckle up, fasten your seatbelts. We are live, so please, I'll be checking chat here as we get things warmed up. I'll be checking chat for your questions. We've got some riveting guests on. Our first one on deck is going to be joining me to discuss how the people are the rulers and not the people in D.C., not the people that's sitting in your state capitol. We are the government. We make the decisions. We tell those public servants, the gum that should be under your shoe, what to do. But apparently we forgot to do that, or we don't know to do that, or we don't want to do it. I don't know what it is, but we got to fix it. So we're going to be discussing how we can restore this republic and understand the difference between a republic and a democracy. But here's something that I think is going to titillate you with Brent. We're going to talk about pure trusts. This is something everybody should be diving into, particularly if you feel like your life's in jeopardy. I think we all do at this point, by the FBI, the pond scum up there in the swamp. We need to get pure trust established to make sure that everything you have is protected. Ironclad wall of protection around all of your property. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Brent right now. He has been a frequent flyer on my show. Brent Johnson, good to see you. And thanks for coming back. You are the host of Freedom Radio. And you've got a great website. I'm going to put it up here. It's streaming on the ticker below, but we'll get to that in a second. Thanks for joining me today. This is an important conversation, particularly today.
It really is. And as a matter of fact, you said something very, very important, perhaps the most important thing out of the whole 2-hour show that you're about to do. And you said that we've lost sight or lost faith with God. This is not a religious issue here. I want you to understand that when I'm bringing up God, it has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with the foundation of America itself. And you're right. Okay. We've lost touch with, we've lost faith with, we've lost belief in, conviction on God and how that affects us. Before the American Revolution, all countries were basically the two-class system. You had the nobility and you had the commoners. And if you were a commoner by birth, you could never achieve nobility. And only the nobles had a say in the law, and only the nobles could own property. If you were a commoner, the most you could ever hope for was to work for a noble. That was it. Okay, that was the pinnacle of your life. The Declaration of Independence, which is the founding document of America, not the Constitution, the Declaration. And the Declaration at the very beginning, okay, says that all men are created. We hold these truths to be self-evident. We don't have to prove them. They're self-evident, that all men are created equal. What that meant was not that you have equal things, but there are no more distinctions between nobility and commoner. Everybody is on an equal playing field. That's what it means. And then it goes on to say, we are endowed by our Creator. Endowed by our Creator. How many of you in the audience, show of hands, were created by the government? Well, then you didn't get your rights from the government. We are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. Unalienable specifically means unchangeable. That's what it means. We are endowed not by the government, but by our Creator, by our God, with certain fundamental rights. Now, prior to this declaration, that was unheard of.
That's right.
Okay, it didn't exist anywhere in the world, or at least nowhere we know of.
No, you were a subject. You were a loyal subject.
That's the way it works.
That's
and
right.
The king's word is law, because
That's
the
right.
king is divinely inspired.
Doesn't it feel though, Brent, like right now we're reliving that sort of Groundhog Day where, you know, what happens in Washington, D.C. is law, despite the fact that it flies in the face of your constitutionally protected rights? Didn't we just witness that with COVID?
Yes, all of that is true, but it's true because we the people, have not done our job.
Exactly.
We have not performed our duty. And so the beast has gotten out of the cage because nobody's been there to keep the beast tame. And that's really what's going on here. But I want to get back to the point here. The point is critical because everything else we're going to talk about comes from this. Everything you saw last night in that so-called debate comes from this. Everything that Kamala Harris is talking about, we're going to give you $50,000 for this, and we're going to give you, $100,000 for that. We're going to give you. You don't have anything. You don't have anything except what you take from the people. You do not give people anything. Okay, you do not give people their rights because you are not their creator. Our rights come from our creator. Okay, and our rights are not subject to violation by the government. Period. There's no, people will come out and say, you have the right to free speech, but you can't shout fire in a theater. That's not true. Now, please, I'm not suggesting anybody go and shout fire in a theater. That would be foolish. That would be stupid. Okay. And that could get you into a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is that it is not for the government to decide that our fundamental God-given rights are subject to their legislation. Our rights are unalienable, meaning they are beyond the purview of government. Now, the government, I would love to sit down with somebody high up in government and be able to actually dialogue, but it would never happen because they wouldn't answer questions. They don't answer questions. But I would say, do you believe that there is anything that the government cannot violate, cannot do, cannot pass a law? What even the Supreme Court will say, well, if the law was passed, we're just here to adjudicate the law as it was passed. But the reality is, and the Constitution specifies it, there are certain things the government can never, ever, ever do. That's it. Now, today, you talk about, well, the Democrats and the Republicans and the legislatures are doing this and doing that. I say, if free speech First Amendment, Congress shall make no law respecting the restriction of free speech, period. It doesn't say except saying fire in a theater, except if what you say is hateful, except. No, Congress does not get to make exceptions to that which comes from God. Now, that's the number one first thing. If you really want to understand sovereignty, if you want to understand what makes America, we talk about, oh, I love my country. Why?
So wouldn't that beg this question? Congress has to obey God. And would that not be the reason why they are removing God from everything? Because they don't want to obey God and they're making up their own rules, which is why we find ourselves in this problem. I mean, Mike Lindell has said for 4 years now, the election integrity pursuit would result in the greatest revival for Jesus Christ, because we are finding out that without God, we don't have a government. We don't have anything, actually. And I'm not here to preach because I'm not a preacher, but I'm just saying all of these things go together. And these documents, our Constitution was divinely inspired. So it only serves the purpose that what you're saying is Congress only answers, besides to the people, to God.
Well, and the truth is that the number one tenet of Marxism is there is no God, there is only the state. Now, just like we say, why is it the First Amendment that we have free speech, that we have freedom of the press and all of that? Why is that the First Amendment? Well, why do you think that is the first tenet of Marxism? Because nothing that the Marxists, that the communists can or attempt to do, none of it works if there is a power higher than the state. So you must first eliminate God, because with God, there can be no communist revolution, no Marxist revolution, no ruling the world. You can't do it. Okay, so that's the first thing. The first thing is that our rights do not come from the government. There's no such thing as a constitutional right. The Constitution itself is it's called a document of negative authority. It means that if the Constitution does not authorize something, the government can't do that something. That's all there is to it. There's no discussion. There's no exceptions. There's no declaring an emergency and saying, well, we have special circumstances. There's nothing in the Constitution that says the Constitution doesn't apply if the government declares an emergency. That would be silly. That would be pointless.
Then where does that leave us with the amendments after the 10 amendments, amendments 11 onwards? Where does that leave us in terms of them actually being constitutional? Did I lose you, Brent? Brent? I think you froze.
States would include attorneys. So there would be no attorneys in Congress, no attorneys in the White House, no attorneys at all in public life.
Can I get you to back up real quick, because you froze for about 10 seconds and I did not hear you. I picked up where you said attorneys because I asked you a question if the amendments after the 10th Amendment, 11 and onward, were even constitutional. 11,
12, and the original 13, which prohibited, among other things, prohibited attorneys from holding public office, are legitimate. And the 13th Amendment, you can argue that it's legitimate, but it would be the 14th Amendment. Everything past that, from the commonly held 14th Amendment on, is bogus and invalid. But I actually don't want to get too taken off point on this, because it is such an important point. And that is, number one, your rights come from God, and government can never, ever take them away, and government can never violate them, period. That's it. There is no discussion here. Now, the question that does come up is, if government can't take our rights, well, look at what's happening every day. If they're not taking our rights, what are they doing? What they are doing is violating our rights.
Right.
That's what they're doing. And so every time they violate your rights, they're asking you a question. What are you going to do about it? And until we, the people, answer that question, until we, the people, recognize that we are the rulers. in my book, The American Sovereign, How to Live Free from Government Regulation, tremendous book. I highly recommend it, not because I wrote it, but because it really is that good.
I highly recommend it. I have 2 copies thanks to you.
At the beginning of the book, early on, I put together a organizational chart. And on top of that organizational chart is God. And beneath God is we the people. And beneath we the people is the Constitution. And beneath the Constitution is the government. That is the pecking order of America. God on top, we the people under God, the Constitution under we the people, and the government under the Constitution. So that tells you where we are in the mix. God is above us, but nobody else. We are the nobility. We are the rulers. It is our country, literally our country. So what happens if our public servants do something nasty, do something bad, do something wrong? It is up to us to punish them. It is up to us to hold them to task. We are the lion tamers, and the Constitution is a whip and chair, and the government is a beast. And what happens when you put a whip and a chair in a cage with a beast? Nothing. Nothing. Until you inject the lion tamer who picks up the whip and the chair and uses it to force the beast into tameness, to keep the beast from getting out of hand. Well, we haven't done that. And because we haven't done that, the beast has gotten out of the cage and has made all kinds of trouble. Now, if you ever expect you're going to elect somebody, I don't care if it's Donald Trump, I don't care, who it is. Nobody has the ability to put down the beast except we, the people.
Right. We created the beast. We can put the beast back down where it belongs. So now, Brent, we have a problem, and I want to ask some questions here because I've got folks that I think in the Rumble channel are going to want to ask some questions as well. I'm sort of monitoring the chat. I just want to acknowledge Christy. I know, girl, I know I'm just popping live. I told you I was not going to keep to a schedule. I was going to go live when I felt like going live with good guests. So we're just going to do that. This way it keeps the algorithms guessing. I think I've got to, I've been suppressed pretty much everywhere. So we've got to build this back up again. Rough Diamond, nice to see you back today. Appreciate you coming in. If you guys have questions, Christy, I know you are going to add, collate them for me. Maybe you could check Getter and X as well if people have questions on there, or even maybe Cloud Hub. We'll see. But I want to get back to my question here with you, Brent. Since the beast is out of control and the people don't know we're supposed to be controlling the beast, and some people do, but they're like, whoa, that beast is too big. And you know what? Maybe that beast had a bunch of babies. There's a lot of beasts right now, and I don't know what to do. And that beast is coming for me because that beast needs to be fed. We got to be able to protect. And this is an unusual circumstance, actually an interesting analogy, because right now with the illegal immigration, or let's just say illegal invasion, we have 30 plus million people that are in this country that are not supposed to be here. They're cooking cats and dogs and raccoons and whatever they can get their hands on right now. And pretty soon they're going to run out of the neighborhood pets. So they're going to be coming to your back door. That could be a beast of its own. So we've got to protect our assets, particularly from the government, which will want to take them as they are going financially insolvent. They're going to grab anything and everything, just like they did in 1934 when they confiscated your gold. So how do we protect ourselves from the beast so they can't take our stuff?
Okay. I wasn't expecting us to go into this early and everything. And there are a couple other things I still want to get to, but we'll this is a live show, so we'll segue around. And
yeah, we're gonna move around. I'm gonna keep you on your toes this time. I'm gonna keep you guessing.
Good enough. I love live radio. I love live broadcast. There's a basic principle in law. And by the way, I'm not an attorney, so I cannot give you legal advice. This is my mandatory disclaimer. Nothing I tell you is to be construed as legal advice. Okay, I'm a well-read, well-studied educator, and that's me. Now, having said that, There's a basic principle in law. Check with attorneys, they'll agree with me on this. And that is that ownership equals liability. The owner of property is always liable for damage caused by that property. It doesn't matter if you're the owner, a trust is, a corporation, it makes no difference at all. However, the extent of liability is determined by what the owner owns. John F. Kennedy had a cat, true story, 1959 or 60. Kennedy had a cat. Now, when you're John F. Kennedy, you know the principle of ownership and liability, and you don't own anything. And sure enough, John Kennedy did not own the cat. Rather, he had set up a common law pure trust organization, very similar to what we're going to discuss here. And he had the cat in the trust, and it was the only thing in the trust. One day, somebody got badly scratched on the face by the cat. He said, "I've been scratched by a Kennedy cat. I'll sue." So he did. And he won the case, and he was awarded the cat. True story. Everybody laughs, but there is a moral behind it. If one of Kennedy's mansions or yachts or Rolls Royces was in the same trust as the cat, it could have been attached to satisfy the damage award from the case. But because the only thing in the trust was the cat, the only thing the trust owned was the cat, therefore the extent of the trust's liability was the cat. That's all you got. Tell you a second Kennedy story. Okay, Ted Kennedy. You may remember this, and maybe some of you are not old enough to remember, but you can check it out. 1969, the incident occurred on Chappaquiddick Bridge in Massachusetts. Ted Kennedy was traveling with Mary Jo Kopechne, 29-year-old. He drove off the bridge into the water. She died. He did not. But right afterward, video caught him stumbling around dead drunk. Okay. Everybody in the world knew that Ted Kennedy was responsible for the death of Mary Jo Kopechne. There was no discussion. There was no argument. Mary Jo's parents sued for the wrongful death of their daughter. The lawyers for the insurance company came and told her parents, we will give you $30,000 for your daughter's death. If you don't take it, you will get nothing, because Ted Kennedy owns nothing. Now, as it happens, at the time, Ted Kennedy had in the public record something called a notice of civil death. Notice of civil death is a filing that means that you cannot own property. So it was proof that Ted Kennedy owned nothing. And if no matter how many people in the world knew that Ted Kennedy was responsible for the death of Mary Jo Kopechne, it would make no difference. You can go to court, get $100 million award, and you'd never be able to collect on it because Ted Kennedy owned nothing.
Interesting.
This is what the wealthiest people in the world know about. And you are not.
Is this why Klaus Schwab says you'll own nothing and be happy? Is he telling everybody to step into the jurisdiction of the air, the ecclesiastical jurisdiction?
No. Okay. No. This is not Charles Schwab's version of you will own nothing and be happy. Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab. Pardon me, Charles Schwab. Nothing in.
No offense taken. It's all good.
But the issue here is ownership and liability. Now, the wealthiest people in the world know that what they really want is they want to have practical control over their assets, but they don't want the liability of legal control. That's what they do. This is what I teach you how to do, and what you can all do, which is you don't want to own things, especially valuable things, because they create liability. So what you do, what I suggest you do, in most cases, is you take the property in question, you put it into a common law trust. A common law pure trust organization is outside of statutory regulatory control. It is a common law entity. It is also a private contract. It is not recorded in the public record because it doesn't need to be. It is a private contract between the parties who get together to create the trust. And as such, nobody knows you've set up this trust unless you tell them. Now, let's take an example of your house. You put your house into a trust. You don't own the house anymore. It is owned by the trust. Now, a trust, again, legally speaking, a trust is a right of property held by one party for the benefit of another party. You go to a fancy
and can you define what the difference is between a common law trust and a statutory trust? Because I bet a lot of people watching this right now go, well, I've got my house in a trust, but it's more than likely a statutory trust.
Give me a moment. Give me a moment to get to that. Okay.
Okay.
You go to a fancy restaurant. You give the keys to your car to the valet to park your car.
Okay.
That is legally an implied trust because that valet has control of that vehicle, but it is for your benefit. Right of property held by one party for the benefit of another. So that valet can park that vehicle wherever he wants. He doesn't have to go up to you and say, excuse me, Anne, is it okay if I park the car here or should I park it over there? No, he has complete control and can park that car without talking to you. And when you're done with your meal, he comes back out, gives you the car, gives you the keys, and we're done. During the meal, he cannot take the car and go cruising up and down the boulevard to impress his friends because that would not be for your benefit.
Right.
That's what a trust is. Now, a trust is either common law or statutory. It's one or the other. This goes to jurisdiction. Okay. A statutory trust exists because a legislative body passed a law saying we're going to create this trust. And what the legislature creates, the legislature controls. So a statutory trust is subject to the jurisdiction of the statutory courts and the statutory body. That's the reality. A common law trust is not subject to statutory control. And I have pages of Supreme Court rulings to that effect. Plato is believed to have had something like a common law trust back in 400 BC. The oldest common law trust of record in the United States of America was set up by Patriot Patrick Henry. Give me liberty or give me death, Patrick Henry. And it was set up in 1790. It was called the North American Land Company. You can look it up. And it was in existence in some form until the 1990s when it finally shut down. So common law trusts have been around and around in America and since, beforehand, for a very, very long time. All they are contracts, private contracts established, setting up a body that owns property for the benefit of another party. That's all that a common law trust is. It's a right of property held by one party for the benefit of another party. But it's done in a way that is outside of statutory jurisdiction. And again, nobody knows you set up the trust unless you tell them. So you got your house, you put your house into trust. Okay. Once it's in trust, the trust will issue to the party who transferred the property into the trust. And that party becomes the beneficial interest holder, the one who benefits from the trust.
Okay.
And then that party will receive from the trust a warranty deed. The warranty deed gets taken down to the county and recorded. This puts into the public record the fact that the trust owns the property. Now, if somebody has a grievance against you, okay, whatever it may be, they have a claim against you or they say you owe them money, maybe the IRS is coming after you, it doesn't matter who it is, okay, they cannot go after that house because you don't own it anymore. It's not your house. So they say you owe them money, fine. They go to court and they get a judgment against you, fine. But they can't take the house because it's not yours.
Right.
So using common law trusts, what you do is you divest yourself of the liability of ownership. You do it in a private environment because it's not public record. Okay. And having done that, you enjoy the benefit of the property in trust without carrying the liability for the property in trust. Now, there are some things you can't do. For example, you put the house in trust, you can't sell the house. The trust can sell the house and you can get the benefit of it. You can get the distribution of the proceeds, but you can't sell the house because it's not yours. So there are some things you can't do because you no longer have that legal control.
Right.
But these trusts are excellent. We've been doing these for over 30 years, and we have 100% track record. We've had trusts attacked by the IRS. We've had trusts attacked by the government. We've had individuals trying to pierce the trust veil for their own reasons, and none of them have been successful in over 30 plus years. So if you're interested, if I've tweaked your imagination on it, you should contact us. You can go to our website at freedomradio.us, look under services, Pure Trust Organizations. You get information there, or you can call us. We will actually talk to you. You will get a human being on the other end, or if you have to leave a message, we will call you back, and it won't be an AI. It will be a human being.
The website and phone number and Brent's email is streaming on the ticker on the bottom. So if you're interested, you can reach Brent on a phone call. It's an 888 number.
888-385-FREE.
Yep.
That's it.
888-385-FREE. And it's streaming on the bottom along with Brent's email, along with Brent's website, freedomradio.us. So there's 3 ways to get them, but you can be freedom bound with a pure trust, which I think is a fantastic solution. And, it's funny, it's over the target, Brent, because when you go, as I'm sitting here and you're talking, I'm just hitting websites, pulling stuff up to put on the screen so people can look at it. But I just kind of want to show people something. Right now, you're looking at your website, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me just go here. Now you're looking at the definition of a pure trust, right? Let's just do what Google does. Let's type in pure trust organization. When you type in pure trust organization into Google, immediately the IRS has their, above the fold response: abusive trust tax evasion schemes, right? This is all the government dogging this stuff. And why? It's because it's being dogged by the very people who want your stuff to begin with, and they come for it with a loaded gun, right? They've now weaponized 87,000 IRS employees that have all been trained with guns and ammo. So the people, the bullies right here that don't even have a positive law, Title 26, which is the IRS statutory code in the U.S. Code Book, Title 26, was never enacted into positive law. So there is no law that says you, the man or the woman, has to pay income tax. Corporations, yes, but people no. And so isn't it interesting, Brent, that they would immediately, above the fold, try to dissuade you? And of course, it's law firms and the government trying to tell you this, because of course the government is the illegal bully out in the room. They're the mob. They're the mafia. Actually, I think that's an insult to mafia. What do you think?
Well, see, my favorite American founding father is Thomas Paine. I love Thomas Jefferson. Okay. Ben Franklin, Patrick Henry, all these people were amazing people, but Thomas Paine had it so right on. Back in the 18th century, Thomas Paine wrote an essay called Common Sense. You can still get it today. And if you've never read it, you should. It's absolutely brilliant. At the time, everybody read this. I mean, everybody read this thing. And in it, he wrote of government, and he said, government at its very best is a necessary evil. Now, most people today use that quote as a justification for government. Government is necessary. We have to have government. What I read in that is government is fundamentally evil.
Mm-hmm.
It is evil. Government has nothing but what it takes from others. The American Revolution was fought over an argument over a 3% tax. 3%. And they wouldn't tolerate it. Okay, we will not have it. Today, you've got Kamala Harris talking about a 70% tax, or a tax on unrecognized income you haven't made yet. And, and people listen to it as if, oh my God, she's going to do this to us. We are all victims. We're not victims. We're not victims at all. If you remember what government is, the reason we have constitutions is to bind down the evil beast that is government. That's what it's about. So rights come from God. Government cannot violate those rights. And we, the people, are the highest level in that organizational chart outside of God. After God, we the people, we're in charge. It's our country. And we get to punish those evil people in government. Okay. We get to punish them when they do evil. And by the way, okay, I'm sure there are some very good people in government. That doesn't change the nature of government. I'm sure there were some very good people who worked for Adolf Hitler, file clerks and whatever, who just doing their job. You're just doing their job. I mean, come on, give me a break. I'm just doing my job. Nonetheless, they supported an evil. And the same thing is true here. I'm sure there are good people in government. I'm sure there are good policemen. I'm sure there are good congressmen. I'm sure there are good senators. I'm sure there are good people. Andrew Napolitano once said to me, he said that, people go to government, go into government jobs, and they really want to do good. And then they get Potomac fever. That's what he calls it.
Yeah, that's
Potomac
exactly
fever.
what it is.
And they get swept away in that. So without getting too far off point there, okay, just before we get into this aspect that we're moving into, I just want to say to people, okay, if the idea of protecting your property rights, which I think is more important than anything, you do your property rights first, because if you take care of them, then when the evil government tries to come after you, there's nothing you have that they can take. I don't own anything. So there's nothing they can take. So they leave me alone, because what criminals want to do is they want to take what's yours and make it theirs. I have nothing they can take. That's what trusts can help you accomplish, not just with your house.
And this is what we need to get to.
Your vehicles, your businesses, all of that. So
Brent,
contact me. We'll find out what we can talk to you more about it.
Yeah, no, you're a wealth of knowledge, a fountain of knowledge, in fact, historically speaking, but practically speaking, this is where the rubber meets the road, because right now our country is really, we're staring down the hole of an abyss right now. And it's a massive chasm. And the whole country collectively needs to take that giant leap of faith back in time into the restoration of the republic. And that's a process where it requires us to be accountable to ourselves and stop expecting somebody else to do something for us. It's just not how it's designed. Yeah, God's got this in the broader sense, but when it comes to your day-to-day activities of daily living, God doesn't pull you out of bed and make coffee. You do. You put your pants on, you brush your teeth, et cetera, et cetera. But you've got to take some more account, be a little more introspective, hold yourself to a higher account, and be a little more proactive in just the going through life. So as we're challenged with the hostile government, and they are the enemy, let's be clear, the government is the enemy of the people. It is obvious what we witnessed last night with Kamala. I mean, my God, she wants to take taxpayer money and spend it on gender affirming surgery for these invaders that are coming in across the border. Are you kidding me? The amount of abuse the American people have taken for the past 150 years, it's the list is, I think it's on par with and probably surpassing the ones that our founding fathers had, but it's surprisingly very similar. So we need to protect ourselves, because they are going to eventually come around to all of us, whether it's a lockdown and they have martial law and they're going door to door, and just like a group of thugs come in and raid your house, take your silver candlesticks off your table and your silverware and whatever you've got. If they come in and there's a lot of them and only a couple of you, well, we know how that goes down. But if you are literally putting things like your home and your car and everything you can into the trust, there is no legal reason for them to want to pursue anything, because there's nothing to take. Yeah, that's essentially what you're doing. You're making a legal case, and a lawful one, that there's nothing they can take from you. So you might as well live your life with reckless abandon and do what's right, constitutionally speaking and lawfully speaking.
Very well said. Very well said. I don't want to turn this into a sales pitch for trust, but I've given you enough that you can contact me and get more information. What I do want to say, however, is this, that God endowed you with your rights. He is the supreme sovereign of the universe. That means that every one of you Every one of you listening to the sound of my voice is a member of the royal family. Literally. I'm not being metaphorical. You literally are a member of the royal family. You are all kings and queens in your own right. You are the supreme rulers of your own lives. Nobody gets to tell you how to live. Nobody gets to tell you what to do. Now, understand, as sovereigns, you are also responsible for what you do. You cannot blame something that goes bad on someone else. You don't get to sit there and say, "Oh, it's the government's fault." Everyone will agree with that. I'll agree with that. But you can't say it because you are the king, you are the queen, you are royalty.
That's right.
You don't put up with that stuff. But you don't blame it on someone else. You accept the responsibility and then you take action. The answer to the question, what do you do when you're violated?
Yep.
You stand, you don't comply. You know, what do you do when they try and impose 70% taxation on you? You stage a tax revolt. I refuse to give you any more money. I refuse to allow you to take my money. And what are they going to do? They're going to stand up and they're going to, the cops are going to come and they're going to threaten you. And then you stand up to them. You don't back down. And
well,
this,
you know, some people are so Dana has a question. Thank you, Christy, for aggregating this for me. She wants to know what happens to the house that's in a trust, presumably, if that person dies. So the person who is the beneficiary of the trust is living in the house that they no longer own because the trust owns it. What happens to that house when that said beneficiary dies?
Great question. First thing, the word beneficiary is exclusive to statutory jurisdiction.
Okay.
A common law trust doesn't even use it.
What is the word?
The party to which you're referring is the holder of beneficial interest. That's what it's called.
Holder of beneficial. Thank you for the correction. So what happens?
Would never say beneficiary.
No, that's fine. I agree. No, there's duality. They're very similar, right? It's very similar. They sort of run in parallel, but one allows the government to have jurisdiction and one doesn't. It keeps them private. It's private.
The answer to the question is, at the time when you submit an application for a trust, the first thing we do is we have somebody call you and review the application, make sure we understand everything you want, so everything is created the way you want it to be. During that conversation, you will be asked about successorship. If something happens to you, who gets your beneficial interest? Beneficial interest in a common law pure trust is embodied in 100 units. So you start off, you put property in and you exchange it for the 100 units. So you have 100 units of beneficial interest. Something happens to you, who gets it? Who do you want to have it? Now, it's up to you.
Those units, I would transfer the beneficial units to my next of children or my spouse or my best friend or whoever.
Yeah. For example, what many people do will say, I want my spouse to get my units. If my spouse is already gone, I want my children to get it equally distributed, unless you have 3 children, in which case it's not exactly equal. But that's how it's addressed. And as long as you're alive, you can actually change that. Successorship doesn't have to go to humans. It could go, maybe you have an organization or you have a church and you want that church to get some of your beneficial interest, however you want it to be. But that's where that is addressed. That is addressed before the trust is even created, during the application process. And that's the answer to your question, how you deal with successorship to your beneficial interest.
Well, that's helpful. I want to just give a shout out also to Jerry Ann Todd. She is with Tactical Civics. She's in here. She's the Western Division Coordinator. Really a smart go-getter later. Jerry Ann, I was talking to Scott McKay earlier on text. We were just going back and forth. And I know, he worships the ground you walk on. He thinks you are just a whirling dervish. You are incredible. So I'm glad to see that you're in here. And so Freedom, and she's putting out her email address in the chat also, but keep the questions coming. I see Bill Schwant, you're looking for Jerry Ann's Twitter. Well, I'm sure she'll get back to you. So keep the questions coming here in Rumble. I'll check the other platforms also. And they're taking notes. This is good stuff. Good stuff. Okay.
I used to do a 10.5-hour seminar Nobody does a 10.5-hour seminar.
That's crazy.
And at the end of the seminar, people would say to me, if you'll keep going, we'll stay for a couple more hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But and I'm open to any of the questions on trust that you want to do right now. But I there's a couple other things I want to address.
Yeah, go, please. By all means, finish. Carry on.
And one of them is it makes me sick every time I hear it. I hear it from conservatives, I hear it from liberals, I hear it from people all the time. They talk about our great democracy. So I want to put a wet blanket on this, because every time I hear it, it's like chalk on the blackboard to me, and I would love if Donald Trump he could have made points yesterday if he did this. We are not a democracy. The American founding fathers wrote of democracy that is repugnant to a free society. At the beginning of the show, I said, what is it that makes America great? Why are we happy to be American? Why are we proud to be American? What is it about America? The truth is, what it is that we are equal. We're not two-class system. We are free. We rule the country. And our rights come from God. That is what a republic is. And in the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, in the Constitution, it says at least twice, there may be a third time, that we are guaranteed a Republican form of government. Now, that doesn't mean Republican Party. What republic means is that you have rights that are sacrosanct. Nobody can take them from you, and no vote of the people can deny you your rights under any set of circumstances. Okay? You can't do that. Okay? So in a democracy, you have two wolves and a sheep voting for dinner. What are we going to have for dinner? Okay? And you know how that ends all the time. In a democracy, the people who lose whatever the vote is, they have no rights. We voted away your rights. It's democracy. Okay. In a republic, our rights can never be taken away. And I'll tell you something and I may have sent you a copy, but if I haven't, I'll be happy to send it to you. But in 1918, the last year it was published, 1928, not 1918, it was 1928. The American Military Training Manual had the definition of democracy and the definition of republic, both of them published in that training manual. That was the last year they published it.
And what year was that?
1928. American
Republic
military
and
training.
democracy were in the manual back in 1928, and that was the last time in a military training manual that those two definitions were found. Wow. Okay.
And
that
I
explains a lot.
even have the specific training manual section I can give you. I mean, it's right there, and I have it right in front of me, and it speaks of democracy, a government of the masses, authority derived through mass meeting or any other form of direct expression, results in a mobocracy. Attitude toward property is communistic, negating property rights. Attitude toward law is that the will of the majority shall regulate whether it is based upon deliberation or governed by passion, prejudice, and impulse without restraint or regard to consequences. Results in demagogism, license, agitation, discontent, and anarchy. That's the definition of democracy according to the American Military Training Manual. Now, let me follow it up with republic. Okay. Authority is derived through the election of public officials best fitted to represent them. Attitude toward property is respect for laws and individual rights and a sensible economic procedure. Attitude toward law is the administration of justice in accord with fixed principles and established evidence with a strict regard to consequences, avoids the dangerous extreme of either tyranny or mobocracy, results in statesmanship, liberty, reason, justice, contentment, and progress. We are guaranteed a republic. And it blows my mind that Donald Trump didn't say this, okay? That Sean Hannity goes on and talks about democracy, this and that, and doesn't say this. This needs to be said. This needs to be spoken over and over again. We are not a democracy. We don't want to be a democracy. We find being a democracy is contrary to the principles of freedom on which our country is founded.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you have already spoken of republic on this show several times. 5, 6, 7 times I've heard you use the word, and that's 5 or 6 or 7 times more than I've heard anywhere else.
Oh gosh, no, it was so disheartening to hear them talk about democracy and during the debate last night. I'm like, come on. I mean, I get it, Kamala, but at this point, I would expect President Trump to be really hammering home the republic. I mean, he has to know this. And if it's because it's sloppy or lazy, or he thinks he's still pandering to the Americans that don't understand the two. But I think a lot of Americans, I mean, granted, you could get your Jesse Waters on the street hot mic moment. And yeah, people walking around the streets of Philly and New York probably don't know it. But the people that are watching debates and stuff, they know it. And if they don't and they heard it, they'd be like, wait a minute, I thought we were a democracy. It would be jarring. So to say republic, we've got to take the words back. We have to take the meaning, not the meaning, just the words, and start applying the meanings and turn the definitions into action, not just a talking point at a cocktail party. We've got to be action oriented right now. And
I would invite all of you listening to this show right now, watching this show right now, to make it part of your vocabulary.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, wherever you go, you're going to hear the D word. You're going to hear it all the time. You need to speak up. You're sitting there at a rally, okay? And Donald Trump speaks of our democracy. You shout out, President Trump, we're a republic, not a democracy. To anybody, anywhere, because you don't know. You're planting a seed. You do that, he might go, you know, he's right. He's right. We are a republic. We're not a democracy. And you know the difference. And that if I was there and somebody said that to me and I was, giving a speech or something, I would use that as an opportunity to speak about republic and what it means, and why it inspires people. You want to make America great again?
Yeah.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it. So make it part of your vocabulary now. Don't let anybody get away with the D word, no matter where you are or in what situation you're in. And it's okay to make a scene. Well, I don't want to make a scene here. It's time to make a scene. If we do something over and over again and we keep getting the same result and the result is not something we want, then we need to do something different.
Then we do. We do. All right, Brent. This has been, of course, another rewarding conversation. I think you've piqued people's interest with the concept of a pure trust organization, a way to protect your personal assets, including your home, your cars, your guns, your jewelry, your art, whatever it is that you have and you want to protect. You can create multiple trusts, multiple pure trusts, and instead of the word beneficiary, it is called what?
Holder of beneficial interest.
You can become a holder of the beneficial interests of this pure trust organization that now owns all of your assets. So you own nothing and be protected, which means you will be happy. So we can steal and take back from Klaus Schwab, who's literally wanting to take our stuff, not protect you in a trust, but literally take your stuff away from you. You can now be happy knowing that your stuff is protected and you are the holder of the beneficial interests of this pure trust organization, which I think is fantastic. And now, you know what? Live your life out loud. Start demanding more from the government slub servants. Start telling them what their job is. peacefully say, no, thank you, I'm not wearing another mask today. Peacefully protest. My next guest I have coming up after you is a lovely lady. I recall reporting on her years ago on Steel Truth, playing clips of her. Beautiful lady, Bevelyn Williams. She's going to prison now for protesting an abortion clinic. And this is a lady who's come full circle in her life. I can't wait to talk to her because she's beautiful on the inside and on the out. Brianna Morella had her on recently. And the story is just totally compelling. But, she's living her life out loud, as are the people in J6 that are in the gulags right now, as is Jeremy Brown, who got, taken out of his, Citrus County, Florida jail and then sent to D.C. without all of his things. And they're pushing his trial back and they put him in general population instead of the protected J6 population. So anything goes, but he's standing there taking slings and arrows for all of us because he's living his life out loud. And I'm sure he would sleep a lot better if all of his things were in a pure trust now. And
let me just add one little tidbit about that will give people some food for thought. The holder of beneficial interest is entitled to distributions from the trust. You might put a business into a trust.
Oh, okay.
And the business is generating revenue and there's money coming in, and you could be running the business. You get a contract, you're being paid, but you also, as beneficial interest holder, get to have a distribution. Let's say, for example, you're sitting there and you want to take your family down to Rio for a $10,000 vacation. You can ask the trust, assuming the money is in the account, you can ask the trust for a distribution of $10,000. A distribution from a common law pure trust is not a taxable event. $10,000 is distributed to you. You go cut a check for it, put it in the bank, go down to Rio, have a great time.
Rio, have a great time. Well, I think we're going to see a lot of people reverse migrating down to South America here if this continues down the path of ill repute and people just aren't getting it soon enough. We may have to be fighting the war from a retreated location while we watch our country burn before it is left with nothing. And the people that came here and destroyed it will have to go back to where they came from. I mean, we're in that period of time that our founding fathers were. We're going to have to be a little bit nomadic, I think, right now in order to survive this. I
also think our military needs, there are some very good people in the military. It is time for the military to step in and stop this. Yeah. It is also time for the militias to step in.
The constitutionally protected militia.
The stuff in Colorado with the Venezuelans going
that should have ended. I mean, the cops were derelict of duty. I mean, they should all be fired. The sheriffs, all of them, derelict. They need to be removed and replaced. And the people have the power.
And that was the last point I wanted to make here. You remember Mickey Klan from a few months ago? Mickey Klan was an activist, and she came into a Board of Supervisors, Maricopa County, Arizona Board of Supervisors meeting, and she basically blasted them verbally, until they all left the room. They just walked out.
Right.
And it was spoken of as a great victory that we got this board to just walk out. But the truth is, the next day they were back in their offices doing what they do. So
that's right.
What Mickey Klan did was she set the stage, but she didn't follow through.
Right.
And this is not just her. This is all of you. Okay. Because the next step after what she did would have been for her to have a bunch of militia armed, who very politely would show up at the offices of the supervisors and escort them out. Sir, ma'am, you're going to have to leave. You have been removed from office. What are you talking about? You can't do that. Yes, we can, because we are the rulers of this country.
That's right.
We'd like this to be very, peaceful and appropriate, but you're going to have to come with us. Okay. I'm going to call the police. Well, that is your right. You certainly may call the police, but we're going to remove you from your office. And what would happen is they call the police, and the police would come up and they say, "What are you doing here?" And say, "Well, we're exercising our fundamental rights as the rulers of this country." Okay, what are you doing here? Well, we've got a complaint that says you can't do what you just did. Now we have a conflict, and you have to decide, each of you, how you're going to conduct yourself. If you knew with every fiber of your being that you're royalty, you're a member of the royal family, you're a member of God's royal family. If you really knew that, would you be so quick to kowtow to what the police? Well, they've got guns. We've got guns also. We've got more guns than they've got.
Yeah.
Okay. So that in itself is not a solution. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go out and you make a Wild West and you start shooting up the. No.
Thank you. I was waiting for you to say that.
No.
Okay. We're not advocating violence here. Self-defense, yes. Violence, no.
The number one libertarian principle is do not initiate force.
Correct.
Under any circumstances.
Correct.
Okay. But do not initiate force. But, okay, you do have a right to stand and defend your rights and the rights of your brethren. And the whole country is your brethren.
Yes.
And then if somebody comes and tries to force you out of that position, you need to stand firm. I'm not willing to comply. I'm not willing to do what you're telling me to do because you're telling me to violate a higher principle. They don't recognize a higher principle. So you have a conflict. And you may have to deal with that. Very likely you will have to deal with that. My hope is that you will stand firm and stand true. If you are willing to fight fire with fire, if you are willing to raise up arms in revolution, then you probably will never need to, because they will see your willingness, and they don't want that. Believe me, they don't want that. They lose in that type of conflict.
No, they don't. All right, Brent, I'm going to have to let you go. I've got a guest on deck here, and I've got to take a quick commercial break before we bring Bevelyn in. But as always, best place for people to find you. It is streaming on the ticker below. Want to give us a shout out where they can find you and follow you and get in touch with you.
Toll-free number, 888-385-3733. That's 888-385-FREE. The website is www.freedomradio.us, freedomradio.us. And I do a Tuesday evening, except not last night, but Tuesday evening, I do a weekly show, and it's a conference call. So you actually can call in, you can ask me questions and talk to me about stuff that concerns you. All that information is on the website under conference calls, how to get in there. So we're very available. You will actually get human beings if you call us. You won't get an automated anything. And I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you.
Great.
Because you are all my brethren. We are a family. We are a real, honest to God family. And I hope that you will remember that next time you run into a conflict with somebody. That's your brethren. That's your brother. That's
Amen,
your
brother.
sister.
Amen. Brent Johnson, always good to see you. Thank you so much. And we'll see you again shortly back here on Steel News in the not too distant future.
And God bless you and for all that you do for all of us out here. And I'll see you again soon. And I hope to see all of you again soon as well.
All right. Thanks, Brent. All right. Wow. Good information. Just know that you can own nothing and be happy, but not in the Klaus Schwabian sort of a way. We don't advocate for the fourth industrial revolution the way these transhumanists, anti-God demons do. We are about true sovereignty, living your life in the private. The government is here to serve you, not the other way around. And we're trying very hard to turn this Titanic around in the Panama Canal, as I like to say. Coming up next, this wonderful lady. I have followed her for quite some time. I remember on Steel Truth, showing videos of her at BLM Plaza. But this particular interaction she had was absolutely beautiful. This is a recent article that came out on Gateway Pundit just yesterday, as a matter of fact, titled, "I Feel Like a Negro Out of Line." And this is Bevelyn Williams talking and responding to the 40 months that she's getting as a sentence to go to prison for protesting outside an abortion clinic, of all things. I mean, just totally disgusting. What kind of upside down, inside out world are we in? We have Bevelyn Williams on deck up next after this quick commercial break from a couple of our fabulous sponsors. Be right back.
My Towels solved the problem that we've all had with towels. You go into the stores and they feel lotiony and soft, but then you get them home and they wind dry you. That's why I made my towels. They actually work, they're soft, and they absorb. And now I'm excited to announce 2 brand new lines of my towels. What makes them the best towels ever is they're now made with 100% long staple Shapir cotton. This is a combed ring spun cotton that makes my towels even softer and more absorbent than ever. And now you get a 6-piece set for an amazing introductory sale price as low as $29.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get my towels for only $29.98. Or you can get my designer premium line for just $20 more. Either way, you save 50% now on all my towels. They actually work. What a concept. This offer won't last long, so please order now.
MyPillow.com. Hi, I'm Ann Vandersteel. I want to talk to you a little bit about your health. Part of my daily routine is to get up in the morning and get a little exercise on. If I have time for a mile or 7, doesn't matter. I get out the door every single day. It's important to get my body moving and get that oxygen flowing through my brains. What is also equally important is what I put in my body after I exercise. I rely on vandersteelhealth.com, where I have a delicious selection of superfoods and other supplements. But first and foremost for me are my superfoods. I have a delicious shake every single day. It is organic, all made in the United States of America, non-GMO, never processed before, dehydrated superfoods. And when they reconstitute with water, milk, or whatever juice you like, it makes a delicious, healthy, plant-based protein supplement. And I say supplement because, frankly, I use this as a meal replacement. This is what's helped me lose the last 20 pounds of COVID. I'm back down to my fighting college weight, fitting in my college clothes, and feeling better than ever. So go to vandersteelhealth.com and get your delicious superfoods. Get on the transformation program with us. It's a 30-day kickoff, and it will get your day starting out great. And watch the weight just fall off. Watch the energy increase, the brain fog lift, and of course the ancillary benefits in your hair, skin, and nails. All these things, you are what you eat. Remember that. Go to vandersteelhealth.com.
I would be in the same position you're in, so I'm not even mad at you, baby. I'm feeling like fake news. This is the thing. I know people don't like Trump. I understand that. But let me tell you something. If I had to pick between him and Joe Biden, I'm not voting in Joe Biden. You want to see a bunch of black people go to jail by the next 4 years? Put Joe Biden in. Watch what happens. You want to see black men get killed substantially? Like you've never seen before? Put Joe Biden in and watch what happens. These Democrats, and I'm sorry to say this, I'm not trying to be racist, but they hate black people. These are the same people who fought to keep slavery in. These are the same people who built the KKK. These are the same people who hated us from the beginning. The Republican Party is the party of the blacks. Blacks free. The Republican Party is the only party that the black people actually assisted in finding. But all of that history has been torn away. People say, oh, there was this big switch. There was never a big switch. The Union won because we had grown in the industrial era. So we were able to get trains and get supplies back to our soldiers while the Confederates were still riding horses. They were not able to get the supplies back fast enough, right? So what happened was once slavery was abolished in the South, the people in the South could no longer make their money from slaves. They had to move to the North to work in the industry to produce. And so the people in the North that already had established themselves in the industry moved to the South. And so that's where it was a transfer of people coming from the South to the North and people coming from the North to the South. There was never a big switch. So the same Democrats who hated black people from the beginning are the same ones who hate us now.
Well, that was June of 2020 when that video with Bevelyn Beatty Williams actually went viral. She's a beautiful black conservative lady. She was absolutely destroying the woke white liberals in the streets of Seattle on the Biden versus Trump debate at that moment in time. Well, pro-lifers, buckle up because this next story is going to absolutely infuriate you. Again, why does it seem like the people that are standing in righteousness, standing up for God, standing up for your rights, for your God-given rights, are the ones that are suffering? It's as if Jesus is telling us, you have forsaken my name, and we need to bring him back because we are clearly walking in a righteous path. And I do believe God will reward those of us that continue to take the slings and arrows. Bevelyn Williams is a pro-life activist. She was sentenced to 41 months in prison for protesting outside of a New York City abortion clinic. And of course, the Department of Injustice launched their investigation after the SCOTUS Dobbs ruling, meaning 2 years after the protest took place. She's now looking at going to prison in the very near future. Bevelyn, it is great to have you here on Steel News. I appreciate you. This is the war zone, and you, my sister in Christ, are a warrior right now, and you are standing up for the unborn, for the people and the children that don't have a voice. God bless you, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I'm sorry. Your mic is a little bit soft. Is it possible to get your mic a little closer?
Let me talk a little louder.
Oh, there you are.
So much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. So for those, I mean, again, when I had a show called Steel Truth, Bevelyn, I used to play clips of you when you were at Black Lives Matter. I played that clip I just did just now. I thought you were just a heroine back then for standing up and just, speaking your mind. And, the odd thing is, it shouldn't be, God doesn't see color, right? Because if he did, he'd make us all one color, right? He made us all beautiful, different colors and put us on different parts of the world for a reason, because that's his tapestry. And, people have become so divisive, and this political environment we live in is just so horrendous, but there's casualties in this political environment. And that's the government waging war on we, the people. You're standing up for life, for the people who gave us life, right? God's children. And yet the government, which is truly anti-God, they want to remove God from everything, is now going to throw you in prison for 41 months for blocking the door of an abortion clinic in New York City. Right. This is what they consider bad and worthy of being locked up at expense to the taxpayer.
Right. I mean, it's kind of surreal, because I'm looking at, like, there's real criminals out here that are, just monsters, and they would probably get a year, maybe some probation, maybe some house arrest. 41 months, I think that's a clear display of where they're at with us. They don't really care. They want us away. It's a Marxist, communist agenda to subdue the voice that hinders their narrative, their motives, right? And unfortunately, them stealing the election and getting in and getting the power, they're not wasting any time. This election, this is life or death. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and people don't understand, but like, even for Trump, this is life or death, even for Trump. Like, people's lives are really on the line right now. You got J6s rotting in jail for being Americans, while criminals that have records of doing petty crime in and out of jail, in and out of jail, in and out of jail. I had a cousin just get out. He got sentenced to 60 months after being in jail, back and forth for whatever. He was a drug dealer, things like that. And he could not believe when he heard that they gave me 41 months. He couldn't believe it. And he knew, Bev, this is political. I actually, before I got sentenced, 3 days before I got sentenced, I think I was on Fox. I had made a video talking about Kamala Harris. And my cousins saw the video. And my family, at first, they did not want to support or believe that there was something going on. There was an agenda with the Democrats. For some reason, they thought that I hated myself. I hated being Black. I'm a house Negro. The ignorance is crazy, right? But now they saw the Fox video saw the video on Fox blow up. And now they're like, Bev, this is political. This 41 months, when you have a family of people who go to jail and do bids often, you know how it goes. So for me, someone who is not a criminal or a threat to society, getting 41 months for my mouth says it all.
Yeah, it says it all. It says we don't have a First Amendment at all. It says anybody that is watching this, if they'll do it to Trump, they'll do it to you. And they're coming. Correct. They're marching down the list right now. Yet, I've done a ton of work reporting on the border. We've brought a lot of very, high-profile journalists with us down into the Darien Gap to show the world the caliber of people that are actually walking into this country, breaking the law, by the way, breaking the law, far worse than what you did, blocking a doorway. And they're getting paid $2,200 a month to break the law. They're getting a nice place to live in a hotel, plus, 3 hot meals a day, a nice place to sleep. They're getting health care. They're getting
thousands of dollars in food stamps.
Yep, all of it. And instead, you showed on your X page, some of the people that are walking in the door here. Where did I just have it? I had it right here. Look at this. You put it up here beautifully. These are the people Kamala Harris brought into our country straight from Haiti. It's not a game. And this guy is a cannibal. They've got a burning body right here. I hate to just, blow this up, but there's a burning body right here.
Gotta see it.
He's eating it. He's eating the burnt, charred man on the ground.
Jesus, help me. Jesus, have mercy.
Right. This is what they're bringing in our country. If this happened in the streets of New York and somebody's body was burning, and I'm sure there've been bodies burning in New York, and somebody started eating it like this guy, right? Is he going to get 41 months, or is he going to be given more food stamps because he's hungry? Where's the line of law and order in your mind at this point, Bevelyn?
Girl, let me tell you something. I broke day last night. It's crazy you post this because I broke day last night. I could not sleep. After the debate, I did not realize how much this election is really getting to me emotionally, because my life is really on the line. If Trump don't get in, you do know, like, I'm going to have to fight the system, but there's a possibility, like, I might do time. I might be really away from my 2-year-old daughter. So last night, I couldn't sleep after the election. I'm all heated because, people are like, oh, Trump lost, which he didn't lose. But just, even right now, criticizing him and being a hater, it's not the time, okay? And most of y'all, 99.9% of y'all can't do what Trump does. You couldn't walk a foot in his shoes. I can't believe that the politicians that call him an idiot, y'all made y'all money stealing tax money from the American people. He made his honestly being a businessman, but you got the audacity to call him an idiot when half of y'all will never see $1 million in your bank account. You will never be able to turn $1 into $1 million, but he did. But anyway, now he's on stage, he's 3 against 1, and y'all got the audacity to criticize the man like it's a game, like it's really the time that we could afford to really be criticizing him, as if our country is not really under full attack, right? So last night I couldn't sleep. I'm up all night. I'm looking at stuff, and now I'm hearing about the Haitians. I'm doing my research on the Haitians, right? I have a best friend. Ed May's family is from Haiti, okay? Ed May is a migrant from Paris, but a lot of people from Paris migrated to, Haiti migrated to Paris. Paris is no longer Paris. That old school Parisian, you know how you sit out and have a cafe, you got the little cherry blossoms out, the pink, the cute little outfits, all of that in Paris. Girl, it's not that. It's straight up Africa. And if you've never been to Africa, if you yourself have never been to a third world country, let me explain something to you. These people are savages. Okay, we get offended, right? When the Pilgrims call the Native Americans savages. Let me explain to you why they call them savages. Because back in the UK, when they had a war, the men lined up. They lined up against one another. You can see this in the movie Napoleon. They would line up, they would shoot their guns, and they would shoot. And you would have to stand there and take your bullet as a man. If you made it out, you made it out. There was an honorable way of doing war. When the Pilgrims came here, and the natives started to hate on the Pilgrims because they were blessed, because they served the living God, right? Now they're seeing they're getting more abundant, more affluent. They start hating. Everybody's saying, oh, these Pilgrims came. And I'm saying all of this for a reason. Everybody's saying these pilgrims came, took their stuff from them. That's not true. They built a relationship and everything. Then things turned left once they started seeing the white man has more. Okay? Let's call a spade a spade. These people did not stand, man to man and shoot. They went into the villages while the women and children were there, while the men were out. They would wait until the men went to hunt, to go, and they would skin the heads of the women and the babies. These are savages. So now let's bring that to today.
That's right.
You're telling me you're bringing people from Haiti, right, who literally killed every white person, missionaries. Americans, when they come to your country, let's keep it a buck about American people. We don't come looking to take. We come looking to give. Y'all come to our country, y'all want something to get from us. Y'all want to take. We don't do that to y'all. We come to y'all country with food and clothes and shoes and trying to show the love of Christ given to y'all. You kill every single American there that came there to help your kids who are eating dirt cookies. Your kids who were starving to death, eating each other, you kill them. So it's not enough. They kill their help. They kill their own government. Any money that goes to them, they don't get it. The higher ups are gonna steal it from their own people. Everybody there look alike. All the Haitians look alike. I ain't seen that one white Haitian yet. They all look alike, right? So this whole black thing is irrelevant. They kill each other, burn each other, eat each other, and you bring these dogs. These are animals. These are not humans. These are voodoo, witchcraft working animals that will eat a human. Last night, I said to myself, oh my God, I can't carry a gun because of my conviction. My husband is limited, but it's like, if I don't live in Tennessee, you got to be strapped now. These people got to die. These people got to die. Respectfully, I'm a Christian and I'm not team violence. But when you go so far that you will watch a burning body on the street burn and grab a chunk out of his calf muscle, you need to go to hell where you belong. You belong in a pit. You belong in a pit where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And you dare give me 41 months? Because obviously, give me the pat that I deserve. My mouth is powerful. You can't shut me up because I lived it. I witnessed having 3 abortions. I witnessed being that ghetto girl that's living a statistic lifestyle, growing up on food stamps. I've seen it. It gets us nowhere. Jesus is the answer, and obviously the views in the word, which are conservative views, is the answer. You don't want the answer. You want us to stay dependent on you. You want socialism, which will then turn into hard communism, right? That's what you want, and I'm too powerful. What I'm saying is so real. Anybody that hear me, they can't say, oh, she's just talking. I'm not just a commentator. I could be. I'm cute enough, but I'm not. I lived it. So I'm going to tell the people the truth, and they're going to believe me because I lived it, and you can't handle it. That's the truth. But no, let them savages come in. But you know what? They're doing even better. You want to give me 41 months in jail, right? Because my mouth's too big. That's okay. But now you done invited a savage in Ohio. You done invited 20,000 savages into regular society where they're eating people's cats and dogs, and they're crashing people's cars. So my mouth, maybe they believed me, maybe they didn't. Now they got to live it. What you think they're going to do on election day? Stupid.
That's exactly right. I got to tell you, I can't wait to go back and clip this rant and pump it out virally everywhere because it was absolutely needed to be said. And I can think of nobody better to say it than somebody who is trying to save the life of innocent children. Somebody who you just admitted, you've had 3 abortions. You grew up in the ghetto, but you see the light, you see the difference, and you know the way is Jesus. What we're importing right now into this country and what the injustice system, the Department of Justice, working with State Department, working with DHS, working with the United Nations and the NGOs, taking the tax dollars of you and everybody else and funding this carnage is unfathomable that we're witnessing it. And just to play that video right there, that is what's coming in America. It's those kinds of people that are going to be coming. And listen, they're going to be lighting people on fire. The cat videos, I can't stop. They're showing up everywhere, Bevelin. These animals that are getting roasted, they're showing up everywhere. This isn't just like a one-off. And Kamala Harris and the other team working for Team Kamala, the other debate hosts last night, the moderators, I should call the moderators. They were on the Team Harris. They were arguing with President Trump that this stuff isn't happening.
Right.
You know, but I forget how many lies she spewed last night. Again, to
11, I think 11 or 17.
17 lies. Well, that was me. That's
lies.
fitting. So that's fitting. You know, at pretty much every debate point she brought up, she had a lie to basically give herself some more street cred. This is our country right now. You know, and you, like the J6ers, are the face of the people that are fighting the oppressors and the tyranny. But this time you're fighting it from the people from the inside, the people that are supposed to be on our side and that work for us. You know, it's not as if, you know, and like you said, you made a great comparison. I thought it was poetry when you talked about the Pilgrims coming and the savage Indians that were attacking them and scalping them. The Pilgrims were bringing things to make the world a little bit better. They were bringing new trades, new ideas, new ways of doing things. And these people coming here are doing the exact opposite. They're bringing third world way of life into a first world country. And when you do that, you drag a first world country right down to the third world. It doesn't raise up. It goes down. It goes down. So let's just play a little, let's just assume you go to prison. Okay. I don't want that for you, obviously, but let's assume you go to prison and let's just take the worst assumption possible. You end up spending, you know, whatever it is, 30 of the 41 months behind bars. What do you expect to see when you come out? What do you think this country looks like in 30 months?
If we play it like everything that could go wrong goes wrong, right? And let's just, I'm gonna project it from a Job situation. Let's just say Trump doesn't get in and Kamala has it. Number one, I would think that people that are in jail now, they're going to be brought up on new charges. Okay? I'm going to tell you that right now. If you in jail, you stay in there. Because there's no law. There's no need to follow no law anymore. Once they get in again, it's middle fingers to all of you. The activists, the ones who are out here doing it, they the ones, they already tucked away and they're getting them out the way. Y'all commentators are next. Y'all shows, y'all think y'all private internet service is going to save you? You think your cute little show, and they have their fingers in everything. You piss them off, you won't be able to take a credit card payment. What you think gonna happen when she get in? All of y'all talking. At this point, when they get in, they're gonna know they have full power. They can display the full glory of communism. And if you're not in their pocket, and if you're not, let me tell you what communism represents. Communism is narcissistic, right? Because Satan is a narcissist. Narcissists don't want you around unless you comply or submit or shut up. Comply, submit, shut up. Period. And if you're not doing one of those three things, you're out of here. You're gone. Ghostface killer. You're gone. So shows like this, you're going to get shut down, girlfriend. They're coming for you. They're going to find a reason to shut you down. They're going to shut down all X. They're going to find a way to make they was trying to make TikTok illegal. They're going to make X illegal. They're gonna monitor. When I say they're gonna have their fingers in everything, this chick, Kamala, told y'all, and this is crazy. This is I get in my bag. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you right now. Like, my stomach, my gut is turning as I'm speaking right now, because that's how disgusting this stuff is. She said she's gonna start telling y'all what prices to make y'all food. Y'all are making the prices for food too high. So now a woman who has never done trade a day in her life is going to tell you guys what prices you can charge for food. So she has zero concept of how capitalism works, right? Let's talk about the My Pillow guy. I just watched the commercial. So now the pillow may cost him $3. The commercial may cost him, between each pillow, $5. That's $8. He need to make his profit. He still got people to pay. So he charges $30 a pillow. So now you're gonna tell him you can only charge $8 for the pillow. There would be no point for him to have his business. There'll be no pillow.
There'll be no pillow.
He would have so whatever millions he made, he better take it and leave. He got to go to another country and go spend his money. Jobs are going to stop. Okay? There's going to be, unless you have a government position, okay, any type of business type job, there will be no food. If she tells companies how much they can charge for milk and cookies and all of these things, they can't afford it. They won't produce it. Now we're in a food deficit. Okay. Now we have nobody on the radio. This is going to be Big Brother. Ladies, if Kamala wins, you're walking into Big Brother. And God forbid we go to jail. People that are in jail, you're not coming out. New charges are coming up on you. You're not coming out. They might even kill you. This thing, people, I'm not telling you to be scared. You shouldn't be scared if you know Jesus. But you should take things seriously. This is not the time to be about self, to think about, oh, well, I got to focus on myself and my rent and my kids. Good luck having it. Good luck. Because the immigrants are coming. Let me tell you what they said in Ohio. In Ohio, government is paying the immigrants' rent. So the landlords are willing to move out the people because they make more money off immigrants. They get $800 a head. So even if it's a 4-bedroom apartment, which will only fit maybe 2, 4, 6, 8 people maximum, they can fit 15 in there and get $800 a head. They will do it, no problem. What's the fire department gonna say? They're gonna say nothing. They're immigrants. Okay, we're trying to help them. So guess what that means? That means your landlord won't re-sign your lease. And if the economy blows, which the economy is about to blow, y'all don't even know. People who are in the real estate market, they already know. When you see right now where I'm at, right, a house is about, when we first moved here, a house was about $400,000 to move into at least a 2,500 square foot home. Right now, they're going for $7 million. They're going for $7 million right now because you're paying for the next house, because they already know a market crash is about to happen. So they're trying to get their cut now. That's why these prices,
right.
have you noticed the prices are super high for homes, because they're trying to get you to pay for that house plus the house next door, because they know the market's about to crash. So you can imagine, let's just say the economy crashes, right? While she's in office. She done shut down food sources, shut down commentators. You can't hear the truth. Jobs are closing out. You can't pay your mortgage. You're out of here. But they're going to have money, or you can sign up for their program and you can get money from them to survive. But they're still going to give more to the illegal immigrants, or you're going to have to register Democrat. Is this what you guys want? We're going to walk in. If I get out, God forbid that happens, I'm going to be in a Great Depression. I will not be in the United States of America anymore. I will be in a third world country. I will be stuck. Mind you, they gave me 41 months plus 2 years supervised released.
Wow.
2 years supervised release.
Wow.
That means I can't, they took my passport. I can't get my passport for 6 years.
So if you wanted to leave the country because this country got to be so bad, you could not leave and come back. You would have to sneak out of the country.
Right. They could pull up an archive on you, girl, something you said, and say, oh, that was a threat.
They've already done that to Devlin. I was put on the domestic terror list after day 6. I was on the Quiet Skies program. When I flew, it was a total complete hassle. In fact, Christy, who's one of my mods, she's here in the chat right now, and she knows she got put through the treatment because I bought her a plane ticket one time to travel with me, and she got pulled aside, and they make your life miserable. They make you feel like a complete criminal in front of everybody, and that happened to me 6 times a week. And I missed flights, missed speaking engagements, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to prison for being at the Capitol yet. They're still coming for everybody that was in DC that day. So it's a matter of time.
They're still coming. These people want blood. You can't settle with these people. You can't compromise with these people. You can't make a deal with these people. You cannot communicate with these people. This is what we're doing, and this is what it is.
Yep.
First of all, a lot of them, really, to be honest with you, Trump has to get in because people need to go to jail. Some of them need to be hanged for treason. I mean, let's not even get started on the treason, what they've been doing and how they've been selling this country out to China and Russia. Let's not even get started on that.
Let's put the treason and the crimes against humanity in context of Planned Parenthood, the abortion clinics. What are they doing with those babies that they kill every day?
So you could cut a baby out, rip them from piece to piece, up to 9 months. So a baby that can feel and move and hear. At 6-7 months, you rip out piece from piece. You make them die slowly. And you give somebody 41 months on one hand being caught in the door. When, mind you, they didn't even know. I wasn't arrested. They didn't even go to the doctor that day. They went to the urgent care 5 days later, where they had an x-ray. They had no broken bones, no ligaments, no bruises, nothing. And they were just told, take ibuprofen. You will give somebody a 41-month sentence with 2 years supervised release for that while you're ripping innocent infants made in the image of God out the womb that can feel everything, dying a hard death before they've even taken their first breath?
It's sick.
Okay.
It's sick. It's really sick.
Animals.
They're animals, and that's what they're importing, more animals. They're animals in suits. They're importing the animals that don't have anything to contribute except take and destroy, and bring, we're bringing criminals in this country from the prisons that have been emptied out in Venezuela, in Colombia, in El Salvador, in Afghanistan, in Iran. They're emptying the prisons and sending them here. We've got terrorists.
And they're not even coming for a better life.
No.
You finally get a chance to come to the America, the land of the free. When we go overseas, they think we be billionaires. They're like, oh, American. You would think you get an opportunity to step on our soil. You want to lay low. You want to go find you a little delivery job, save your little money up, integrate. No, you want to be out here with guns taking over buildings. You think you tough, which is so crazy because this is the truth. If Americans really get in a bag, all of them immigrants will die. And I'm not pushing violence like the other guy said. But let's just be honest for a second. West Virginia alone got enough guns to defend the entire country. We got enough ammo to defend the entire country in one state.
100%.
And now this racial divide that was there now, back when I was doing what I was doing, there was a racial divide. Now it's the Americans. the Americans are stepping up. Black folk, like, I don't care about this white thing no more. This nigga from Haiti got to go. So all of this whole color thing, this is irrelevant. But
they made us, they unified us, didn't they? Did they unify us? Did they unify the country?
Y'all want to bully people? Y'all want to eat people's animals? Okay. And when you get that hot lead in your neck, you're going to be feeling like, oh, wow. No, we ain't coming out with no machetes. Americans is not pulling out with machetes. Americans is pulling out with them things that's going to put a hole in you and teach you a lesson. So they're pushing American people to the side that they don't want to see. And you know, around overseas, they say, oh, you Americans, you're so violent, you're so aggressive because y'all like to poke. Y'all like to poke Americans until they can't take it no more. And then when they introduce you to the other side, you acting like a victim.
This is what we're coming to, Bevelyn. This is what we're coming to. This is the part that Americans don't fully understand. The ones that have been embracing the Biden regime policies of open borders and think, oh, they need, why? We just let them come in here. Everybody deserves a chance. Everybody deserves a chance. Well, they're about to find out what their chances are of surviving in the cities when you have all these open borders, refugee, illegal invading army, military-age men consuming every aspect of your resources in your city so that there's nothing for you. And when they run out, when the banks collapse and their EBT cards don't work and they don't have money to buy food, they're going to be coming for you. And particularly the Haitians. I mean, I saw a lot of Haitians when I was in Darien Gap in Panama. We saw tons and tons of it. And I can tell you, you could put a Haitian next to an Afghani, next to an Iranian, next to a Chinese. There is something different about the Haitians. And it's not because he's black or they're black. There is something in their eyes that is scary as hell. They seem possessed. I've met spies from China. I've met all kinds of special forces kind of guys from different countries that are clearly coming here for war. Okay. But they're playing the role of, oh, I'm coming to America for a better way. But you could have a conversation with them. Not the Haitians. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. It's crazy.
No. Yes. You hit the nail on the head. These are, you got to kill them. It will put you in a corner in a rock where you either going to defend you and your kids, and you're gonna have to suffer the experience of taking a life, which is very hard. That's traumatizing, to protect your own. And we are getting put in a position as an American people. We're getting put in a corner to either take a life, to protect a life, or die.
Yeah.
And that is so mean. That is so evil to put a people in a position. Right. But then again, with the American people, you too selfish. You too selfish. Everything's about you. Your rent, your car, your this, your that. We're not doing what we did back in the day. We're not loving our neighbor. We're not loving our brethren the way we used to. Our hearts have grown so cold. Shouldn't it matter when you hear your neighbors going through something? Don't you want to get involved? No, you don't care. We've allowed social media to be our outlet of communication that we can't even sit and talk to our brethren next to us, let alone care about their issue without making the conversation about ourselves. And then you wonder why these people are able to come in and take over our nation the way they are. We need to repent. You need to repent. I'm not asking you to be religious. I'm not asking you to go to church every Sunday and be fake. Please don't. We don't need any more of those, boo. Okay?
Right.
I need you to repent and change your heart. I need you to ask Jesus to come into your heart and change the selfish, inconsiderate, self-centered ways about you that makes you actually un-American. That's what a third world country individual is. A savage who cares about nothing but themselves and will do what they need to do to benefit self at any cost to anybody else. We are not that people. We are not that. And we have fallen into an identity of a third world mentality, a classless, anti-God mentality. Because when you don't have Christ, you are classless. Class makes you want to pray for your brethren. Class makes you want to feed someone on the street rather than step over them, watching them die of hunger. Class makes you want to sit and listen to somebody and ask them how their day was and really give a damn about their day. Classlessness is when, oh yeah, I'm on social media, someone's talking to you. You can't even get off of your phone for a second to listen. A person has a problem. You just go ahead and attack them and say why they deserve it. That's classless and it's godless.
It is. Amen. Bevelyn, I have a feeling, God forbid you end up serving any time at all, but I have a feeling you were going to change so many hearts and minds when you're in there. You are such a force for good. You are such a force for the rational view on all of this, despite the headwinds that you're facing, despite the demonic headwinds, frankly, because let's face it, this government is at war with the people. They're at war with every single one of us every single day. The mere fact they're allowing this border situation to go on like this just tells us that they're at war with the people. So we're all Bevelyn Williams right now in some aspect or another. You are the tip of the spear, along with a select few that are chosen. And I think chosen by God because you've been ordained for this moment in time to be the warrior that you are and to stand up to the injustice and to speak your mind the way you do. I mean, frankly, I'd love to see you have your own show doing this. In fact, if there was a way to broadcast the way Jake Lang somehow manages to get broadcasts out J6, you should be doing it. You've got to have a voice. Yeah, I know. I
want to get my extension, and I can, when my appeal go through by the end of the month, I'll know I'm trusting the Lord that I can get an extension on my surrender time. But hit me up, let me know.
Yeah, you're welcome on any time. You just bring the fire, you bring the important information, you bring a perspective of somebody who's been there and sees that that's not where you want to be, and it's not about status and money and stuff you have. It's about self-respect. It's about respect for what God created and what he has given you, which is your life. And clearly the government, they've been, using all their tools in the bag to remove God from the conversation, to take it out of the classroom. And this is why we have what we have. And like you said, we've got savages that are in our country right now. And you, who has the ultimate respect for life, is going to potentially serve time, 41 months in prison. You've been sentenced. It's just such insanity. President Trump, same thing, right? Why do you think, I mean, Judge Merchant extended the sentencing from this month till November after the election. Do you think your judge is going to take a page out of that book?
Let me tell you what's going to happen.
Okay.
This is the thing. We talked a lot about the negative, right? And I could ban on it a lot, but I have to give you a balanced perspective and show you the positive. I am a praying woman, okay? I am filled with the Holy Ghost and I commune with the Lord. After I got sentenced, and I'm answering this, I'm giving you this because I'm answering the question. I'm not going to rant. I spent 2 days. I was so overwhelmed. I spent 2 days in a cabin where it was just me and God, no phone, nothing. And I just prayed, and God met me in that cabin, and he talked to me, and he ministered to me, and he said a lot of things to me. And it's crazy. My husband had a prophetic dream about Trump. And I know a lot of people don't like to deal with the prophetic right now because, they think, oh, Trump lost. Number one, Trump didn't lose. It was stolen. But I believe God used that thievery and Biden getting in to wake the American people up. Number one, Roe versus Wade being overturned while Biden was still in seat as a president. We never thought it would happen. It was by the hand of God. God's hands is on this America. Don't get it twisted. There is a praying wall of righteous people that will not be thrown in the garbage. They are too righteous. And guess what? Sometimes it takes righteous people to go through. Jesus, let me say something. You don't touch God's anointed. You don't. You want God to get up off of his throne and you want smoke. And I tell you, you don't want smoke with God. Ain't enough Haitians in the world. You want God to pay attention to you, touch his anointed. I believe everything that they did, they got so cocky that they decided to come after Christians. And God said, okay, y'all wanted to, okay, now I'm coming up off of my throne. They've done everything in their power to try to kill this man. They try to demolish this man, and no weapon formed against this man has prospered. It has formed, but it has not prospered because God's hands is on this country. God forbid Trump would have got killed. My God, run for your life. Run for the hills while you can. But God moved. God moved and turned abortion back to the states. People were waiting for that for 50 years. God did it in a day. And you didn't even know he was going to do it. That's the God we serve. The president that he ordained to be in office was supposed to be killed according to what the devil wanted. God said, not so. Not so. And even me, I was stabbed by BLM. The power of Jesus protected me and protected my life. So what I believe is going to happen is in November, they're going to have a grand finale. The enemy is exposing himself, and he is no longer, Satan likes to be low. Satan's like a roach. He likes to crawl in the dark and cook up his agendas, and then at the right time when you can't back out, snap. But what they're doing is they're snapping too quick. They're snapping too quick, and they're exposing their agenda. They're exposing their hearts way more faster than they should have, because technically Kamala wasn't supposed to be running. Let's keep it 100. Biden couldn't hold it. They did not want her. She didn't get the votes. She is literally, they're saying, oh, he's a threat to democracy. She is the walking threat to democracy. So what's going to happen in November? After he rightfully wins that election.
Yeah,
he's going to win. After he rightfully wins that election, because you can't steal it again. Lord, I was about to call them some assholes. Lord, forgive me. You can't steal it again. You played yourself. You played your card too soon. You should have waited. You were stupid. You should have waited until he had his second term. But no, you want to be greedy. You want to do the most. You hate the man so much, you can no longer think and use logic, right? So they already blew up their spot. You can't use COVID no more. You can't use the mail-in ballots to steal. That's dead. The systems, people investigate him. It's done, right? He's going to win. That judge is going to try to put him in jail. That judge,
Merchan,
he's going to which my Merchan or him? No,
Judge Merchan. Yeah, yes. Trump's Judge Merchan, the one that pushed the sentencing back to November.
He's going to try to put him in jail. He's going to try to put him in jail, and it's going to be the grand finale for the Democrats. Let me tell you something. After this year is over, if you won't even want to say you're a Democrat. Yeah. Just like slavery is like a taboo now. Oh my God, like my parents were slaves. It's like a taboo. No one wants to support slavery. No one wants to be a Democrat, because that's what he's going to do. He's going to play himself. A lot of people are going to jail. A lot of people, a lot of millionaires, a lot of billionaires that you didn't think were intertwined with messing with our nation, they're going to jail by the droves. And they're freaking out. Y'all think that they're putting on a nice face, but they're scared to death right now because they know. And Trump submitted that warning for a reason. He said, listen, even if you were intertwined in it, get ready. When I get in, it's up for all of y'all.
That's right.
So he's going to try to put him in jail, but it will not work.
I hope so.
They don't learn. Listen, look at the rap sheet. Look at the rap sheet. No weapon formed against this man has prospered yet.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I just hope Trump follows through and puts them all in jail
Yes, that's the biggest thing. No more diplomatic Trump. No more. That diplomatic
Trump gotta go. Trump. I want warrior Trump, warpath Trump. I want all this cleaned up. I mean, we
like that.
Yeah. We got to drain the swamp. More importantly, we got to start getting the people right around
No more that Fauci-ness and friends and cool. We not cool. We not cool.
Yep. Fauci-ness. I like that. So I have got one question for you. Let's see. Let me just check the chat. Rough Diamond Jerry wanted me to ask you about New York City BLM paint job. I know that video made its rounds a while back. Tell us about that experience for you when you were there on BLM Plaza and you threw black paint all over it.
So let me give y'all some fun fact, right? Stuff that people don't know about that paint. So initially, the reason, let me tell you why. So I was already in front of the abortion clinics preaching the gospel, and, on video, things were going viral. Aside from me going to Chaz, y'all don't even know, when I went to Chaz, that video that you played earlier, I was at the abortion clinic the night before. I was still exhausted. But when we heard about what was going on in Chaz, we were like, we got to book a flight tonight to go. I got to preach the gospel. So I just slept on the plane. So we literally just jumped right on a plane in New Jersey. I lived in Jersey at the time. Went straight to Seattle after being at the abortion clinic that morning. I never missed a beat with the abortion clinic. Okay? So now, the reason why I started going heavy like that, I've been street preaching since 2014. But we was focusing more on like the homeless, people on welfare, people in the hood, things like that. And I really grew as a conservative when I was doing stuff like that, because I really started to see how these Democrat policies, how they really affect people on an everyday life when you got no fathers in the home, and the woman having babies by 10 different dudes because she can get the welfare for it, and these sons that are just popping up with no future, no aim for life, they just idle. And you know what happens when you idle, especially as a young man. It happened to David. When he was worn out here, he was good. Once he got idle, he went and killed Uriah to hook up with Bathsheba. So it's a recipe for disaster with no father in idleness, right? So now I'm going out preaching the gospel, and I'm growing and growing and growing in my conservatism because I'm seeing the word come to life as I'm out there dealing with the homeless. Now, I think around 2015, we had went to an abortion clinic in Colorado, and we met these people from OSA, Joe Scott, who's my mom in Christ today. And when we went there, she actually thought we was going to get an abortion, but we just figured we wanted to go to kind of learn about the abortion ministry. So we went out there. She trained us on how she made us come to her house every day for the week we was in Colorado, and we had to watch a video every day on the back end of abortion and all of these things like that going on. It's the reason I'm telling you this. We had to watch all of this, so she trained us on it. So now, boom, you can imagine I had 3 abortions, and I'm one of those statistic kids. So as I'm learning this information about Margaret Sanger and Martha 21 and all of this stuff that they're doing in the Democrat Party and how they really work with the KK, all this stuff like that, it's like mind blowing for me. Like, oh snap! Like I've been in the twilight zone. This is like a warp for me, right? So now, boom, we come back to New York. We're not really doing anything with abortion or whatever. We just kind of still dealing with the homeless until Governor Cuomo legalizes abortion up to birth. And now I'm like, oh, he went and legalized. Mind you, I had already fought Governor Cuomo on a case about bail reform where he had utilized Black and brown people to get rid of private bail reform and make it something that would be in control of the taxpayers in the state. And basically taxpayers would be the ones through the government controlling bail, which is a disaster, right? But they use Black and brown people to push the narrative, right? So I'm watching, wait a minute, they keep using us to get something done. So then now I'm in front of the abortion clinic, I'm preaching, I'm seeing how like, okay, it's COVID. People can't even make money, but they're killing babies. And a lot of these people walking in look just like me. They walking in, two-stepping, killing their kids. So now I'm watching all of this stuff going on. I'm seeing the dirt behind the agenda, right? And then now here come BLM. BLM pushing their agenda. They talk about Black Lives Matter, defund the police. We don't want nuclear families. They want to support abortion. They want transgender rights, right? So now, just put yourself in my shoes for a second. I'm already watching an agenda that I myself was caught in, where there's a demise against the Black race of America, and we're caught in 10 different holes at one time, right? We're in like a black hole. Yes, and now this company or this organization comes with the name of Black Lives Matter, but everything that they represent is at the detriment of the Black community. Number one, fatherlessness in the Black community is one of the biggest problems why our community don't know how to act. Number two, the welfare system, the abortion. In New York alone, you abort more babies than they're born. You understand? And then now, defund the police. Now, you know, culturally speaking, I'm not saying all Black folk like this. And I like to separate them. You got Black people and then you got niggas. Okay? But unfortunately, there's a bigger population of niggas than Black people. So now, you got this huge population of people who can't even go to a picnic together without shooting each other. They can't enjoy a picnic. They can't enjoy a concert without somebody dying. So now you telling me through Black Lives Matter, you want to defund the police, the very thing, the very wall that's keeping us from killing each other off, on top of supporting abortion, fatherlessness, and transgenderism. Hold up. In the name of Black Lives Matter? This is setup. This is straight up setup. So like, I'm like, okay. They done decided, okay, since we want to express, you know, this political agenda to kind of get Trump out, they're pushing this Black Lives Matter. So now what we're going to do? We're going to paint BLM, Black Lives Matter, on the 5th Avenue right in front of Trump Towers. It had nothing to do with Black people. It was a middle finger to Trump. That's right. So your way of supporting Black people is you're going to paint Black Lives Matter on a street that people are going to drive over? That's your contribution? You're going to paint Black Lives Matter on the street for people to drive over it, right? And so I'm seeing a lot of Christians falling for the bait. I'm seeing a lot of Christians co-signing and be apologetic for this narrative. And I said, oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm going to get out there. Go ahead, Mom. I'm sorry.
No, they're serving the narrative. They don't understand what it is they're even doing. They're just blindly following. And it's their own inadequacy, Bevelyn, because they don't stop to think what you're saying here. They don't understand that this is a fabrication of basically psychological warfare that has been applied to the American people for over 100 years, right? This is total psychological warfare. Again, all government orchestrated, MK Ultra, television programming, movie programming, all of these non-governmental organizations with, like Black Lives Matter. Yeah, how about all lives matter? They've always, all lives have mattered, until you become a problem child, then we deal with you. But it's not about the color of your skin. It's about what behavior are you exhibiting that's bad. We'll deal with it.
Correct.
And, if we can't start looking at things purely through that lens, then we're never going to advance. If I'm a space alien, I'm out there in space looking down at this world right now. I'm like, what is wrong with these people? They're nuts. They're nuts.
Right.
They're allowing themselves to be manipulated. And you are fighting the great manipulation of an argument that is designed to make us hate each other because of the color of our skin, which is about the stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
Right.
It really is. You cook my cat, I'll probably hate you. Okay.
Right. And to push a narrative like you're using us as a pawn so that you can get in and you can literally weaponize. You're gonna be our enemy. You're gonna hail us and nail us. You're gonna do Black Lives Matter and do all of this to get us in. But look, now they utilize the Black Lives Matter thing to get into office per se, cheating. Look what they're doing. They're bringing in illegal immigrants and treating them better than us.
That's right.
You hear what's going on at the welfare office? They're saying they can't even get a meeting. They can't. It's so many immigrants there with translators. They're the ones that's getting the priority. They're treating us less than first world citizens.
That's
we
right.
are literally third class, fourth class citizens.
But
and
don't forget
the ones that they got to vote for.
But don't forget to pay your taxes. Don't forget to pay your taxes because you're going to pay for all those people that are cutting the line in front of you there at Disney World on the Fast Pass line. I know. I know.
Pay your taxes for them.
Pay your taxes. For them.
Don't forget to vote for us because you're not Black if you don't.
All right, Bevelyn. You've got a lot to do. I know you've been very busy. You have been from Fox News, Brianna Morella. You've been on I don't even know how many shows. I stopped looking because you've done a lot of media and you bring the fire when you do, which is fantastic because your passion it's real. Your passion is who you really are because you really practice what you preach. You're not just saying this. You actually are potentially going to prison. You've been sentenced for 41 months because you stood in the doorway to try and stop people from killing babies. I mean, honestly, it's just insane what's happening. I know you have a Give, Send, Go page. I want to make sure people see your page. I want to make sure people get to your page. If you want to support, because the legal battles are intense. Ask any J6er, ask anybody. The government will bleed you dry. You're going up against the power of the unlimited purse, the Department of Injustice. They just print the money and they spend it on themselves. Go to givesendgo.com/Bevelyn Beatty Williams. And it's Beatty Williams. Bevelyn, like Evelyn with a B in front of it. It's a beautiful picture of your family. Beautiful little girl. Look at you. You look like princesses and your husband is a prince. I love the pink coat. Where's that picture taken? Is that in your home?
That's his Eleanor's birthday party, her second birthday.
Oh, how precious.
Yeah.
Well, we want to make sure you see the third birthday, the fourth birthday, the fifth birthday, and every other birthday after that. We don't want you to miss a birthday at all.
Amen.
We want you to be with your family, and you should be because you are fighting for the unborn and fighting for the rights for somebody. If you don't want to have the child, give it up for adoption. There's plenty of people in this world that are good people that would love to adopt your child. So don't give up on life. Bevelyn Beatty Williams, thank you so much. I'm going to keep tabs on you. I've got your phone number. I'm going to be texting. And I'm going to find out, what the latest is. And if we need an emergency breakthrough or whatever, we need to do cash calls, whatever to help you. We're all here to help you because you're just a beautiful soul.
Thank you.
You really are.
You, and thank you so much for having me. And you're an amazing host, girl. You be letting people talk. I love it. You're good.
It's my platform for you to use. That's all it is. That's all it is. So
very professional. You're really good. Really
Well,
good.
God bless you. And when's the next bogey for you? When do you have to go back to court to figure out if this is going to get postponed or what?
I will know at the end of this month. My judge, my lawyer just has to pull the appeal. Technically, when the appeal starts, he's going to bring that before her at the end of this month, and we'll know.
Okay. All right. Well, God bless you. I really appreciate everything you're doing. God bless you. We'll keep
bless you
tabs.
too, girl.
Thank you
I'll
for
see
being
you
here.
later.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Powerful. Woo! Powerful. That girl can preach. And now you know why. She's a street preacher, right? She's out there preaching the gospel and she's saving babies. God bless her. And I hope she keeps on going. I hope she never quits. We've got another couple of guests coming up here. I know this is like probably you guys are going, what the heck is Ann doing today? She's like out of control. We're going over 2 hours now. We're still going. But you know what? I don't want to conform to a program every night at a certain time anymore. I've done that for years. And, some of the work I'm doing now, particularly on the border, I'm getting ready to go back to Panama. I've got a guest coming up tomorrow, Todd Bensman. He just came back from Colombia, Venezuela, and Panama, and his report in on the Darien Gap in Panama is blistering. And this is why I'm headed back down there with Oscar Ramirez. Hopefully before something breaks out in the Middle East. I was talking with Colonel McGregor this morning. He's like, and if you go down in October, you may be having a difficult time coming back in. We may be in war in the Middle East by then. Who knows? It's just so crazy right now. But I'm going to take a quick commercial break here while we wait for our guests to come in for the next segment. It's going to be a short segment. It won't be quite as long, but it's a good segment because, again, it's going towards our health. So don't go anywhere. Stick around. We're going to get a word from our sponsors over at the satellite phone store, sat123.com. A couple of words from McGregor on his comments after the debate last night, and I'll be right back. Hey guys, Ann Vandersteel with Steel News. Just want to bring you up to speed real quick and why you should be thinking about getting your family protected and ready with communications. This is breaking right now. Zero Hedge is putting this article out right now about F-16 fighter jets now on their way to Ukraine. Actually, this is actually being reported by the White House, if you can believe it. This insanity continues out from the Biden regime like crazy. But we got to be prepared for what's coming. And, clearly they're doing everything they possibly can to get us into World War III. That's why it's critical right now that we're thinking about comms for our family and our friends. I want to give a big shout out to sat123.com. Tina Blanco and the team over there, fantastic. They actually provided a lot of the influencers with our own books, connecting us to everybody else with their sat phones, because we all have sat123 phones. We all use them. I take mine every single time I'm out of the country because I know it's reliable. I can't always depend on my cell phone, but the satellite phones will always work no matter where I am. I just need to be outside so that my antenna can get a sat phone signal. And again, if we lose power, I have backup power, which has been also, made readily available at sat123.com. So don't waste any time. We're inching closer to something that's going to happen, whether it's full-blown World War III. It's nuclear, I doubt, but they're going to do something. And just as a point of reference, Ecuador most recently cut off visas to the Chinese. And if you recall some of the reporting we've done with Operation Burning Edge, Ecuador actually was a big conduit. A lot of the Chinese were able to get visas to come right through Ecuador. Well, they cut it off. And what did the Chinese do? They cut the power because they control the grid. And wouldn't you know, Huawei is controlling probably 90% of our 911 grid here in the United States. So if we have any issues, they can cut the 911 grid. And we've seen 911 go down in Florida and Massachusetts recently. So they're already testing the system and God knows what else. So be prepared with your backup power supplies and backup communications. Go to sat123.com. Don't let yourself or your family down. And Vandersteel, check in with you later.
Americans, I'm Colonel Douglas McGregor, Army combat veteran who had the privilege of serving as senior advisor to the Secretary of Defense under President Trump. America needs you now. We have a new social media free speech platform called Republic. It is a grassroots platform with a completely different concept. Republic is 100% locally focused. It provides you with a platform in your community, town, and county. Whether you're an activist, politician, influencer, charity, organization, or small business owner doing great things for Americans, you need to be on this platform. With Republic, you can share your ideas for improvement and beliefs with those around you.
Republic is the way we strengthen and unite our nation. The change starts with you in your community. Many other social media companies are giving users a free account so they can track you, own your content, control your speech, and sell advertisement. If they do not like your message, they will allow bots to attack you. They will censor your content. If you do not buy marketing from them, they will limit your reach. They have no interest in letting you grow your following and expanding your base unless you buy advertisement from them. Even platforms that do allow free speech are constantly under attack. These platforms are not efficient on the local level. On Republic, viewing is free. You can find articles, events, organizations, and actions from within your community. This you can easily share on other platforms. However, to write and contribute, you have to register as a user. At Republic, only users can write articles, make calendar events, and publish actions. Users normally pay an annual fee of $180 a year. It's a small price for freedom of speech for anyone who wants to have a serious impact on their own town or community and reach a wider audience. But Republic does not have advertisement. It does not limit your reach. It will not sell your information or track you. If you are ready to join the fight and make your community better, please sign up and be the first user in your town. Please use the link below and get 33% discount for an annual price of $120. You know, I've never sold anything in my life. I'm doing so now because I believe this is important. America needs this platform. America needs you and your community to exploit it. See you at www.republic.us. Thank you, and may God bless you and your family and our nation.
Okay, welcome back. Boy, this show is long today, but just some good things that need to get out there. I'm going to give a little bit of a teaser. We're waiting for a couple of our guests to get in here. I just want to kind of bring you up to speed who's on deck for tomorrow. We've got Todd Bensman. He's with the Center for Immigration Studies. Let me just get this teed up for you. All right. Todd is fantastic. He's a fellow over there. He's traveled all over. And he's got a great account on X, by the way, at Bensman Todd. He's published his first progress report on Darien Gap on the migrant route blockade. Now, if you paid attention to some of the things I've said recently, the Panamanian president, the newly elected Panamanian president, has vowed to close the Darien Gap. It's a place down in Panama. It's an inhospitable 60-mile wide swath of jungle that separates South America from Central America. And it's where the migrants invading the Americas right now, the United States particularly, are having to traverse. Very dangerous. I've been down there several times. I'm going back down again. But this progress report is scathing, and he published it in the Center for Immigration Studies. It's unbelievable, but just to give you the highlights, and we're going to break this down tomorrow, the newly elected president of Panama, Jose Raul Molino, has just started this 5-year term. And one of the first things he said when he went through his inauguration back in July of this year was that he was going to be taking steps to close the Darien Gap migrant passageway on the border of Panama with Colombia. All right. This is a completely, by the way, a completely different posture for a Panamanian president to take. At this time, this is a huge departure. So you're starting to see Panama push back. And, they've allowed over 1 million people to come through the gap in the last several years. There's been a record-breaking 10 million that have attempted the U.S. South border crossings, of which we've had more than 30 million actually make it through. And the Social Security Administration will actually show you those numbers now. But just to give you a little bit of a look-see, this is Colombia, part of South America. This is the Darien Gap. And it is incredibly difficult to traverse. There is this river down here that actually separates the area in contention. And so the continents really are not connected per se, but they are in the sense that if you want to get from here to there, you're going to have to traverse boats, very skinny little boats, etc. I've done it. It's quite treacherous. It's not easy. But here's what I like about this president. He was pretty firm when it came to his meeting with the member of the Biden administration. He actually met with Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas. And Alejandro Mayorkas, who has been a former board member of an organization, a non-governmental organization called HIAS, Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. He's now the Secretary of DHS. He was sent down there to meet with President Molino because Molino was telling the Biden administration that we're done. We're closing the border. The United States will no longer weaponize the American taxpayers' money, feed it to the United Nations, and have the UN feed it to organizations like HIAS, Red Cross, International Organization for Migration, et cetera. All these NGOs that are actually bringing people across the border. They said, we're done. We don't want these people in our country. So essentially, Molino told Mayorkas, you will start sending us planes and money so that we can repatriate these illegal invaders that are in our country, destroying our Indian reservations, that we respect our indigenous population. We respect that 70, 60, 70 mile wide isthmus called the Darien Gap, which it's considered a UNESCO protected property. You know, that's like, don't walk through there kind of stuff. The Chinese are taking out significant hardwood trees, destroying trees that have been there since Adam and Eve. I mean, they're just destroying the entire area. As the establishment, that's the humanitarian establishment will. He's demanded that the United States do all these things, provide money, planes, and help close the gap. Otherwise, if we don't, they will restrict access to the Panama Canal for the United States. Pretty serious considering we need that Panama Canal for not only supply chains, but also for our military. This is how we get back and forth to Asia. It's a serious situation. And it's not just the US, it's European, it's everything. This is the big piece of property that's the United States built. We built it between 1914 and 1924. We ran it 10-mile wide piece of property there in Panama. We basically controlled it until Jimmy Carter gave it away. And the Panamanians have never been the same since. They're frankly pissed off. They've been asking, where are the Americans now? Since 1979. And what you see in that vacuum once the Americans pulled out is that communism has crept in. The Russians are there, the Iranians are there, and the CCP is there. And let me tell you, the CCP is everywhere. With my own eyes, I've seen the Chinese bodegas, food stores, restaurants, etc., grocery stores, all up and down the Central American corridor on the Pan American Highway. So we're going to dive into that with what Todd has seen. And I think you're going to find it fascinating. And it's going to arm us because when we go back down to Panama, I'm going on a mission this time to link all of these NGOs. And we're going to show the connection to our election integrity because, as you know, I've been following another organization that's proving the civil rights violations. But civil rights violations with respect to your elections being stolen has to have evidence. And evidence of civil rights violations is how they're stealing the elections and negating your vote with dirty voter rolls. So we're going to put all this together because it's all connected. It always has been. It's all connected. So shout out to Christy, who is still hanging with us right now. Keywords are always listed on the bottom. Thank you, Christy. You've done a marvelous job keeping the chat going and also, dropping our links to the sponsors that make this show possible. So I love you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. And now, without further ado, I'm going to bring in our next guest. I saw one in the green room. He disappeared. Now we've got another one. Patty Greer is here. Patty, great to see you. The C60 Evo Queen has descended from the heavens and is joining us now.
The Queen has dropped into your amazing show of the most powerful and brilliant people in America, pretty much, right?
Well, we had some really amazing guests on. We had somebody talking about sovereignty and common law, pure trust organizations. We had Bevelyn Williams, who is a beautiful conservative who's stood in the gap for the unborn at a Planned Parenthood clinic and is now been sentenced to 41 months in prison by the Department of Injustice. She came on and just preached for an hour. She's a street preacher. She's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So beautiful soul. And so now we have you, this beautiful soul, joining us to give people a little bit of help so that we can continue our journey in the freedom fight, because it is a journey. It's not exactly a sprint. It's a long marathon and it's taxing.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing is how long we've known what's going on and to stay graceful with everybody around us. And you and I have one thing in common, which is we take the same product every day, C60 Evo. And I bring this up at the top of saying hello because this saved my life. I do it religiously every day, and I feel like I'm old enough that I deserve to finally be partners with the only lab in the world that's making the good stuff, ESS60. And they received the Nobel Prize in 1996 for this amazing miracle molecule, the carbon-60 molecule. And one of the only labs that was open was ours since 1991, won the Nobel Prize in 96. And in 2012, there was an incredible study on this molecule to see if it was real or if it was toxic. It was great at every application industrial. So that's what my partners were selling it for 25 years before we got together, and then really evolved the company into making it a different product, the evolution of carbon-60 that won the Nobel Prize, that won the longevity study, which I'll discuss in a minute unless Chris comes on and joins us. But it came from our lab, which to me is the most important thing. When people say, oh my God, our product makes you live 90% longer, did it come from the lab in Houston, Texas, that's actually selling that product? And ESS60 is what people and pets need to be taking, because it's the evolution of the industrial grade industry made for tires, batteries, photocells, ink. It's industrial, and that again is a very different thing than what we want to put in our bodies. So that's why we're called C60 Evo. It's the evolution of the industry.
Well, the evolution continues in great products, and you sent me something recently. I call it Tangerine Dream because it is divine. The body butter cream. Oh my gosh, I've I don't want to say I've used it all, but I've used probably 3/4 of it because I use it every single day. It smells so good and it makes your skin feel so good. But all your products make your skin feel really good. Your hair, if you're suffering from hair loss, the C60 Evo hair serum is absolutely fantastic because a lot of people started suffering hair loss after COVID. I was one of them. I had it was like my hair just decided to say, we're out of here. And they were ejecting every day. Wads of hair was falling out. I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna have to cut it. But the C60 Evo hair serum really did save my hair and scalp. I'd like to better understand, what did it do? Was it reducing the oxidative stress at the follicle level? Like, how did it stop the hair loss? Because I don't fully understand that.
Scientifically, my partners need to explain that. But I can just say I'm testimonial number 2 because I also got that terrible flu thing. And next thing I knew, my hair was falling out in the drain. I had big clumps. And so we created this product because too many people were saying, not a coincidence, we all need help. So this is the C60 Evo Hair Renewal Duo. And what it is 2 different products, which is our Evo with the oils, which we take on a spoon every day. But then we added this peptide, which is another entire ingredient bottle that we have to activate fresh each time we use it. So we did this for face and we did it for hair because these peptides, it's called UTH29, again, a peptide that's had 30 years of research. Other than our lab, it's just been all through the scientific community. So we put these products together, and in order to not have chemicals and emulsifiers, we do a fresh activation right in your palm. So you squeeze it a couple drops, you do a couple drops of the other instructions come with it. But if you activate it each time, you've got a really potent product. The hair formula, what we know from experience is that when you wash your hair, you're going to be in hot water. So your scalp is going to have open pores. And if you take your fingernails and you kind of scratch on your head and stimulate your skull and then put this product on, you're going to have better results. and you leave it on all night if you want really amazing results, or
Yep.
you can rinse it out after a little bit, but keep some in your hair when you go to sleep. But definitely remember to activate and then scratch your head gently with your nails to get those pores in the mood to receive. Now, I'm not speaking like a scientist. I'm speaking as someone who used it 3 weeks. I haven't lost hardly a hair since.
Yeah. It does work. It arrested my hair loss. I mean, almost immediately, I would say within a couple of days. And I was literally, I think people that had COVID, or, I got the what I call the bioweapon because I got it at CPAC in 2020 when they aerosolized it and they shared it at CPAC with those of us that attended. I was really sick, but I didn't get the kind of COVID that was transmittable from human to human. It was just the bioweapon sprayed. But right here, and everybody I know that had COVID seemed to really lose their hair right on the side of their head. Really strange. I don't know what that's about, what the receptors are there that are different on the top or the back, but it was
very interesting because when I got the flu thing, it was because I went to hear Del Bigtree.
Oh.
All of me and my friends sitting in the back row talk later in the week like, oh my God, I got sick. We got, and we weren't sure, HVAC system, we weren't sure, but all of us got it. So yeah, I think that we are on the most challenging test right now, especially. I get to be in the background and just supply all of you with this product to keep you healthy. Have you noticed a difference with your health in general since you've been taking C60 Evo olive oil every day?
Oh, I love the olive oil. I love the coconut oil. I take it straight. Sometimes I put it in my superfood shake just because I can put a bunch of stuff in there. But just that olive oil is so delicious. I mean, just to have a spoonful of it, it is so delicious. And yes, everything is better. My whole body system from top to bottom, all the systems are working well if you catch my drift.
That's a good thing. And I know that you recently got married, so it's important to be in your greatest health.
Recently would be about 10 years ago.
What?
So, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was just the last couple of years.
No, we act like newlyweds, but no, it's been 10 years.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you have been one of our strongest supporters because your skin, you said, really changed with the advanced facial serum.
That's right. I actually discovered that when I was in Panama the first time and I was being attacked by chiggers, bed bugs, etc. Because where we go, it's quite inhospitable. And literally I was waking up with just quarter-sized welts on me. And the chiggers aren't good because that means something is burrowed under your skin. It's like nasty. But you're in the jungle. What are you going to do? I started applying the C60 Evo serum and oil and never got anything on my face. Like, I don't know how that happened. But in fact, when I came home, my husband just looked at me. He goes, "Did you really go to Panama?" I go, "Why?" He goes, "You look like you lost like 10 years off your face. Your skin is incredible." I go, "Yeah, well, look at the rest of me." And I peeled off the clothes. He's like, "Oh my God, what the hell happened to you?" I'm like, "Well, I said, but I was putting this on my face every night." And I said, "They didn't attack me here, but anywhere else in the body, they did." Wow. So yeah. So now when I travel, I make sure to bring extra, and I try to, between that and some tea tree oil for emergency immediate hit it, this is how I stay healthy. And just swallowing the olive oil, putting the rest of the serum on the face, I find that, it's keeping me clean and I'm not getting sick. And the bugs tend to stay away. I don't know why that is, but maybe it's because I'm more fortified. I have no idea. Plus, you all provide the capsules, which is super handy because bringing the olive oil with you on a plane, kind of difficult, especially when I don't like to check luggage. So I've got the capsules here, and this is fantastic. It keeps my C60 going without having to worry about breaking a bottle. And here's all your fabulous serums. This is the new rich body cream I was just talking about. I call it Tangerine Dream. It is. It's a tangerine dream. It smells incredible, and it's just like butter on your body. But it doesn't leave you feeling heavy. It goes on. Feels heavy, but then it dissolves in quickly, and then it's very light. You don't feel like you can't breathe. You know how some lotions you put on and you feel like you can't breathe? That is fantastic. So,
yay! I love it.
That's my spiel on that. My favorite, my go-tos are the Youth Renew Duo. Love that. I do love the advanced. I love all of it. The advanced facial serum. That stuff's great for night use. Love it also. It's just a nice oil that you put on your face, your skin will not break out. If you're worried about that, I know some people, in their 50s are worried about adult acne. No, I think when you keep your skin hydrated, that's when you don't break out. It's when you let your skin get dry. That's what causes the acne personally. That's been my experience. So, and if you have pets, my dog, he went through his dog formula over here, and now he's actually consuming the cat formula. He loves it. So
the only difference is that the cat formula is seasoned with a salmon essence that's natural, and the dog formula has a bacon essence that's natural, and it's blended with the olive oil ESS 60 formula that received the longest longevity results in history on any lab animals. 90%. We actually hold a record for having the longest longevity results in history on lab animals with the ESS 60 and olive oil formula. Now, we've used the olive oil for all of the peer-reviewed tests and studies that have been done because it holds the most carbon-60 fullerenes.
Yeah.
And when I say the most compared to the avocado oil or the MCT coconut, the reason is the thickness of the oils will grab onto and melt down the ESS 60. And a lot of people are going, wait, what's ESS 60? I thought it was carbon 60, C60. And we want to differentiate because a lot of people are confused that our lab sells C60 and ESS 60. The difference is the cleaning process. We only sell C60, carbon 60, for industrial purposes like ink, batteries, tires, and photocells are the biggest ones that my lab has been selling to for 33 years.
Wow.
And but it's expensive. And the reason my partners got into it in college was their professor said, you guys are brilliant, you're young. They were in their early 20s. And he said, carbon 60 is more valuable than gold per ounce. So
Wow.
needless to say, you say that to a couple of young entrepreneurs and they were on it. And
Wow.
Robert's a scientist, Chris is the business guy. They actually created this massive metal machine that makes this ESS 60 in their lab and the carbon fullerenes. There he is now, the guy that created
Sorry,
the
Chris.
machine.
He got buried in the digital green room. I was like, wait, I think I see top of somebody's head down there. Sorry about that.
I'm here. No worries. I'm enjoying this. This.
How are we doing? Are we getting?
Yeah,
are we hitting all the marks?
Yeah, I'm doing well. One, you've been married 10 years, acting like newlyweds. Congratulations. That's not an easy feat. Like that. That is spectacular.
Yeah.
Having protective effects in Panama against insects, nothing we ever dreamed of. But if you go back to the history of this product, we never really dreamed that it would even be doing these things. That I never thought I would be on air with Anne talking about these amazing results, talking about this research, because my business partner and I at the time, that's just Robert and I, were focused on delivering commercial quantities of carbon nanomaterials to research institutions around the world. And now my life is so much better because I get to go and share research. I'm a scientist, so I love sharing research. I love reading research. And then when people kind of understand the research, they go and buy the product. And then they get the product and they turn around and share amazing testimonials with us. And the most consistent testimonial is actually people take it in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. What a glorious life I get to have. Scientifically share and dig into research. And then, from a personal perspective, I get to hear these amazing results from a product that I work hard on every day.
That's just awesome. It's nice to feel rewarded, not only by the work you do, but rewarded when you hear people rave about it, right?
Yeah.
Because then you know that what you're creating is actually resulting in something that's positive. It's not just a peer-reviewed study on a piece of paper and some statistical numbers of people you never met. You're actually talking to the people that take the product. I know you two talk to a lot of people on this product because you've been doing this for quite some time. Patty, you have a great testimonial. Would you mind sharing your testimonial with my audience on the product?
Yeah, mine is very bold. And ever since Chris met me, I've been, I used to be in the field of UFOs. I made movies, I won awards, and then I dealt with the consequences of telling the truth in times of universal deceit. I got whacked a couple times, poisoned a couple times, and survived all of it. Now I'm like beastly strong and so grateful for life, and that I'm kind of unstoppable. And I only blame it on this product because it's pretty much all I do, other than have water delivered in glass bottles from the high mountain peaks and eat as well as I can. But I have all kinds of expensive supplements and different things. And sure enough, I had a real test this year, which was I had both of my hips replaced at the top of the year. And then 9 weeks later, I had my second hip replaced. And the doctors are like, that's the shortest amount of time. And I said, let's get it over with. I don't want to think about having to do the second hip. Let's just get it done. That was easy. Now, for me to say that is kind of mind-boggling. Nothing's easy. But I quit doing their pain drugs on day 2 because I started doing the Evo again. And I had done so much of the C60 Evo olive oil that my joints were extremely well lubricated. And I've taken this daily. I don't take it at night. I personally take it before noon. These are the caps. I take the oil on a spoon. The olive oil is the strongest, I was starting to say, but I take the coconut MCT because it's every morning in my morning coffee, which I will never forget. If I need energy during the day, yeah, right, I'll take some olive oil. But for me to survive bone on bone for a couple years and not be really in pain was because I was lubricating my joints that well. I've never taken in daily oil in my entire life, so this was new to me. But once I tried it and all of a sudden I could walk again because I was seriously wounded by bad people, I was absolutely stunned. So I kept taking the product, and finally Chris and I were having a lot of interaction, and he knew that I was blabbing on the air, and all of a sudden they're getting tons of calls for the product. And he said, my partner and I want to fly you down. Let's do this. And so we became partners in 2019. And we brought together what I bring and what they bring, and it's just been a magical experience. But again, there's really no competition when it comes to what we're selling, because considering we're the lab that's been doing this for 33 years, they're the only ones that have evolved Evo, the process to become ESS 60, which is pure C60. It's not industrial grade. It's not questionable ways they did it, sonication, sublimation, I mean, there's all kinds of mixing it with water. There's all kinds of people trying to sell C60 for all these different building applications of how they're making their products. But then there's one lab that's been doing it 33 years with the science behind it. And I'm so blessed to be their partner. So what we have is ESS 60, the evolution of the C60 industry. And it is absolutely beautiful stuff because everybody pretty much notices that they feel better. These are the 3 flavors, and this is called a sampler set. And it's, I think, the nicest way to start because you can try all 3 flavors and see which frequency I'm kind of a hippie from Boulder, Colorado. So which frequency works for you? There's a softer MCT coconut at 0.35 milligrams per milliliters, and the avocado oil, which holds 0.6 to 0.65 milligrams per milliliters. And the olive oil, the strongest, is 0.8 to 0.85 milligrams per milliliters. You're going to love one or the other. You might love all 3, but the sampler set is how you can try them all and then buy bigger bottles of the ones that you really want to take daily. We were getting such rave reviews about the oil on a spoon, and people started saying, yeah, when I'm done, I give my dog the spoon to lick because all of a sudden my dog's walking better, and it was limping for the last year. And oh my God, my cat, her skin is so, she's not mangy anymore. And it's because I've been sharing a little. So we made it for pets. And again, I mentioned earlier, it's just the fabulous C60 Evo olive oil and ESS 60. And then we put in the flavor that pets love. And so they're drawn to it and they want their food because it has that essence that they love. And needless to say, when people have healthy pets, they're happier pet owners.
Oh my gosh. In fact, well, my dog has been in here since about 11 a.m. It's now almost 5. He just got up to go. I think Daddy's making him dinner right now. I heard him rustling the food tent around out there. But yes, happier pets make our lives a lot happier. Chris Burris, you are relentless. You're in the lab. Is there anything? I just got your tangerine dream cream, as I call it. Is there anything else you are working on, or are you just perfecting what you've already got?
Well, we're always working to improve what we have in any way possible. We're always looking into, like I say, I get to do all the fun, sciencey, geeky stuff, and then come and tell people about it and hear their testimonials. Yeah, we've got ideas, right? It's exciting to come out with a new product with this lotion, something that you can use all over your body. That was something that we think our customers were interested in, so we brought that out. And yeah, there might be a few other things that we're cooking up in the kitchen.
Chris, while you're on, can you answer the scientific question that I couldn't? Anne wanted to know why the hair serum works so well.
Yeah, so I think it's the same reason that the product works overall, and maybe I've talked about the buffering oxidative stress system. It's actually in the mitochondria. It's doing a good job. Your mitochondria, as the powerhouse of every cell, actually has some negative components, just like your car going down the street, the exhaust, or your power plant with the smoke coming out of it. Those negative components are typically managed by glutathione and melatonin. We know that this molecule, this ESS60 molecule, gets into the mitochondria. There's peer-reviewed, published research that proves that. And we also kind of intuitively know different parts of our body get overwhelmed at different times. And if the mitochondria is overwhelmed, or actually the components that manage the mitochondrial negative aspect, which is reactive oxygen species, if those get overwhelmed, this stands in and holds on to those negative particles. They're both negatively charged particles and negative for you. So these negative particles get held on to this ESS60 molecule, so they can't do damage until that part of your body, that mitochondria, can replenish its natural protective agents. If you're every cell in your body has between 5 and 5,000 mitochondria, except your nerve cells and your brain cells, which have 2 million. That's how much energy your nerve and brain cells use. If you improve those mitochondria so that they're not having negative impacts on your body, then everything gets better. And so, everything from, yes, it's a great antioxidant. We can talk specifically about an anti-inflammatory from the context of at least exercise. So, an exercise-induced inflammation, we do manage that. And if you think about hair, we were getting great testimonials right from the beginning about skin and hair improvements. And the way to think about skin, hair, and nails is that they're often very much just aesthetics, right? And when you're dealing with more of an underlying challenge, then your body, your physiology just says, you know what, we need to be focused on this condition and not the aesthetics. And then when this steps in and helps manage that condition, then your body goes, oh, well, we can get back to aesthetics. So I think that has a lot to do with the results we're getting from that product.
Well, it's the proof's in the pudding. I'm living proof. Patty, you're living proof. You look beautiful. I like your hair grown out longer. It looks great.
Thank you.
You look like you're doing great. 2 hip replacements. I mean, my God, lady, what else can somebody sustain? But you're doing fabulous. And again, the lubrication of joints is critical. Just like use it or lose it. We have to keep moving. It's why I do my 6-7 miles every single day. I drag the dog out early in the morning and I keep going, because if I don't, we're going to lose it. Got to keep moving. Well, c60evo.com/Ann Vandersteel is your link. If you see products today that you are interested in, by all means, go to c60evo.com. Think about your pets. They've got stuff for your dog, your cat. Highly recommend it. Mine gets it every single day. Vegas absolutely goes crazy for it. And of course, the facial serums and hair serums and the body, I call it the Tangerine Dream body butter. It's fantastic. Please check it out. You can, again, use the promo code EVAV for 15% off. at checkout c60evo.com/Ann Vandersteel. Patty, Chris, always great to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by this afternoon here on Steel News. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you.
All righty. Take care. All right, everybody. That is a wrap for today. We're almost 3 hours into this, and you guys must think I've lost my mind. But actually, no, I haven't. I'm feeling invigorated. We're coming down to the wire here. We're going to get President Trump over the finish line. We're going to restore the republic. We're going to regain our sovereignty, and we're going to teach you all how to do it. That's going to be my focus, along with threading the needle and connecting some dots, because we expect to be telling Congress just where they've gone amiss, where their agency government, which is not constitutional. Nobody I didn't pick those bureaucrats that told us to take shots. I didn't, but you know what I mean. So we're going to fix this, but I'm going to need your help. We're all going to have to work together, but we got to keep ourselves healthy. That's why C60 Evo is so important to me. That's why it's a part of my daily regimen. C60evo.com/Ann Vandersteel, promo code EVAV. You can see it in the ticker below. I appreciate you. I'm going to play you out with another trailer here to the Flynn movie in case you haven't seen it. And we'll catch you again tomorrow. We've got Todd Bensman on deck tomorrow afternoon. Good night, everybody.
Considered highly skilled when it comes to intelligence gathering.
33 years in the U.S. Army.
Flynn knew exactly how the system worked. He knew exactly what the intel world had been up to. He understood its funding. They had to get rid of Flynn.
President's former national security advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, pleading guilty today to lying to the FBI.
There was a moment where I just felt like I was drowning.
ISIS as the JV team. Do you feel as though your warnings were ignored?
We all knew that he was one of the most respected generals in the military, plain and simple.
Well, in 2012, he was appointed director of Defense Intelligence Agency. He ordered the first audit of the use of DIA's use of contractors. This set off alarm bells.
So I'm in there with these other political appointees. They're all supposed to go in there and tell what they believe to be the truth. What they did was they took my assessment and they wanted me to change it. I was like, I'm not changing it.
Mike Flynn, whatever you think of him or his politics, did not lie, but instead told the truth. And so he was, by definition, the most dangerous possible person for Donald Trump to hire.
President Obama said, but I do have one specific recommendation. Stay away from Michael Flynn. He's bad news.
I went into the service because I love our country. And I come home and I find out that the worst enemy that I'm going to face in my life is right here in America.
Even had he not served this country, even if he were not a combat veteran, to turn something like this loose on a family, I mean, it's monstrous.
The media was out there in droves.
I went into a very deep depression, like suicidal depression. The only thing that kept me alive was my son.
We always knew that we somehow had to get through it because we knew he wasn't guilty.
Over time, instead of being pounded down below the surface of the ocean, we started to fight. I'm now above the surface. But I can see